Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time this season, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series will take a race on the high banks at the Daytona International Speedway. For the 25th consecutive season, the Truck Series will be starting their season off in speed weeks at Daytona. And this year, we have a very, very fresh and new crowd in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. A lot of new faces and new places. Very few veterans remain in this series, even from a season ago. A lot of the top contenders for the championship last year are now all either full-time in the NASCAR Xfinity or NASCAR Truck Series. We'll go through each individual race team, of course, when we go through the starting lineup for today's race. But before we do that, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. And of course, buckle up because we have not just one, but two races on this Friday night. Why, you asked two? I thought it was just the Truck Series race today. Well, I did too. A couple of hours ago, ARCA had moved the start time up for their race. Originally was supposed to be at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow afternoon. Threat of rain. They will be running that race tonight after the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, approximately 10:30 Eastern Standard Time for the green flag drop of that race, or obviously about a half hour to 40 minutes or so after the conclusion of this race here today. They'll have to obviously give times for the pit crews to change over on the pit boxes and all that stuff from the end of the truck race before the beginning of the ARCA race later. But we will have two live commentary streams for you guys. That ARCA race will not be on this live stream. I will end this live stream and then we'll go live right before the drop of the green flag for the ARCA race and probably give ourselves about a 15 to 20 minute break in between streams. So as for today's race, obviously, a win locks you into the playoffs. Remember, the Truck Series season is the shortest of the top three series when it comes to the regular season itself. 16 races in the regular season in total on a 23-race schedule. So if you win, you're definitely going to lock yourself into the playoffs more than likely, as the likelihood of getting more than 10 different winners in that few races isn't very high. But I guess you never know. Needless to say, a lot of the stronger teams in the Truck Series this season are either not even existing anymore. Obviously, last year, Kyle Busch Motorsports had sold out to Spire Motorsports, so they've got a couple extra entries throughout the course of the season. We actually do have a Cup Series regular in one of those Spire trucks here tonight. The only Cup regular in the field is Corey LaJoie. Very good, accomplished super speedway racer in the NASCAR Cup Series. Maybe he doesn't have a win under his belt there, but he could potentially be one of the favorites for today's race, starting in the third place position. We have a couple of former champions in the field here today. Obviously, longtime veterans of the sport, Johnny Sauter, Matt Crafton. Sauter has gone to part-time as of the last couple of seasons and will actually be making a start in the 45 truck tonight for Nice Motorsports. He was fastest in practice earlier today, qualified second, very fast race truck for that Chevy. We'll see how that works out for him. And for Matt Crafton, he has never won at Daytona in his NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series career. He's been coming here for over 20 years. We'll see if he can finally break through into victory lane. Tony Breidinger will be running full-time in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series this season in the one team for Tricon Garage. Not there with a teammate who had been there throughout the course of last season, Corey Heim. For whatever reason, Heim ended up qualifying back in the 26th place position in this one, way further back in the field than a lot of the other teammates. We'll see how he will charge from the back to the front. He's not the only veteran of what is left, or at least drivers that have been in the Truck Series for a year or two plus now. Also having Christian Eckes and Ben Rhodes starting in the row in front of him. So, again, a lot of the veterans starting deep in the field. Grant Enfinger as well in the 9 truck tonight. Former Daytona winner in the Truck Series starting in the back half of the field in the 22. Lane Riggs will be running full-time this season in the 38 for Front Row Motorsports. It is his first race as a full-time rookie. And we'll see what he can do this season. I think he's got a great shot to break into victory lane. He's only pretty much ran short tracks because of an age restriction as of the last couple of seasons, but he's impressed whenever he has been in a race truck. And I think, honestly, with a few of the favorites from last season's championship hunt, like a Carson Hocevar, a Zane Smith, and others now gone into the truck or the Xfinity Series, maybe opens the door up for him to make the playoffs and maybe make a deep playoff run. Despite, again, having only being 18 years of age. We'll go through the starting lineup now for today's race. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And here is the starting lineup for the Fresh from Florida 250 at Daytona. Ty Majeski going to be on the pole for this one, returning for Thor Sport Racing for the third consecutive year and the second year in the 98 truck. Johnny Sauter, as mentioned, was fastest in practice earlier today. He'll be on the outside of the front row. Former Daytona winner is Sauter, multi-time Daytona winner in the Truck Series. Corey LaJoie, that one lone Cup regular in the field today, will be on the inside of row 2. And in another Nice Motorsport truck in the 42, Matt Mills. We'll see what he could do on the outside of that row. Tyler Ankrum and Nick Sanchez, a couple more Chevys in row number 2. Row 3, rather. Row 4 is going to be Daniel Dye and Tanner Gray. Dye had some good runs on the super speedways last season, looking to continue that here today. Bailey Curry and Thad Moffitt will line up in row number 5. Row 6, 3-time Truck Series champion Matt Craftsman alongside Taylor Gray. Tony Breidinger and Cody Rodabaugh will be in row number 7. Dean Thompson and Jake Garcia in row 8. Thompson had some incredible runs last season on the mile-and-a-halfs. Looking for better runs on the super speedways and short tracks this season if he wants to make a playoff push. Stuart Friesen and Chase Purdy lined it up in row 9, an unfortunate circumstance last year for Friesen where he missed the playoffs entirely. Looking to get a stronger start to this season so that doesn't happen again. Going from Championship 4 in 2022 to not making the playoffs in 23. Maybe he can make it back to the Championship 4 again in 2024. Brett Holmes and Roger Carruth will line up in row number 10 in this one. Carruth in his second full-time season in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. As mentioned, Lane Riggs, rookie in the 38 truck for Front Row Motorsports, will line up on the inside of row number 11 alongside series veteran Grant Enfinger. Jack Wood and defending series champion Ben Rhodes will line up in row number 7. Rhodes trying to go for back-to-back titles in 3 in his truck career, still in his mid-20s. Corey Heim and Christian Eckes and Corey Heim will line up behind them in row 13. Corey Heim was a regular season champion a season ago and made a Championship 4 appearance last year, looking to back that up with an actual title in 2024. Stephen Parsons, Ty Dillon will line up in row number 4. Dillon, obviously a former full-time Cup Series regular, not a full-time Cup regular this season, though, but he is in the truck field. He is a former Truck Series champion. Brian Dozet and Corey Roper will line up in row 15. Spencer Boyd, Mason Massey in row 16. Timmy Hill and Jason White in row 17. And then row 18, rounding out the 36 truck field tonight, will be Lawless Allen and Keith McGee. A lot of Chevys in the field compared to Toyota and Ford. So if we look at a manufacturer alliance side of things for the Truck Series race tonight, Chevy might be the favorite. Toyota's Ford's definitely going to have to work together if they're going to want any sort of a shot to try to take down the Chevrolets. A lot of strong drivers with the bow ties as well tonight. Former winners in this race, like a Grant Enfinger, Johnny Sauter, a couple of former winners, obviously being those two. And really, there's very few drivers in the entire field in general who have actually won a race at Daytona in the Truck Series. So there's a very good opportunity that we will see a new winner at this racetrack in this series here this evening. Thanks for everybody tuning in. Once again, some quick shout-outs to those of you that are already watching in the chat. Terry Lewis, Earl Arnold Jr., Uncle Car Guy, Christopher Jimenez, Mark Witkowski, Michael Turner, Robert Goodrich, NASCAR 2311 Racing Series Racing, thanks for tuning in. NASCAR Fan 05, welcome to the stream. Let's see here. William Walton Jr., also welcome to the stream. Billy Kramer, Thomas Roth, Marcus Collins, Joanne C., AJ Summers, Kathleen Schwartz. Welcome in, everybody. Just a quick reminder, ARCA race will be coming up following the conclusion of this race tonight on a separate live stream, so hit that notification bell so you don't miss the start of that upload, as well as the rest of the streams throughout the course of Speed Weeks and the rest of the season. The plan is to go live at 5 p.m. tomorrow for the NASCAR Xfinity Series race. If it is announced that the race is postponed before 5 o'clock, then we will not go live tomorrow, and we will wait till Sunday for the Daytona 500. Even if Sunday's Daytona 500 gets postponed to Monday, there's a good chance we still at least live stream starting at 1:30 Eastern Time on Sunday. Not sure how long that live stream would end up being, but I would break down the predictions for the Daytona 500 at the very least, so more than likely still going to have a stream on Sunday. The only chance we really don't is if they end up moving the race to Monday like the day before or something like that, then we'll just make sure we go live an hour or so before the drop of the green flag on Monday for the Cup and Xfinity Series races. So as for tonight's Truck Series race, 30 to 35 laps is the pit window. They will not have to pit under any circumstance in Stage 1 and Stage 2. They would have to pit during the stage break of Stage 1 if they want to make it to the end of Stage 2, or a late caution in the first stage, whatever ends up happening first. The stage splits tonight are 20, 20, and 60, so that final stage They're going to be kind of on the border to be able to make it on one stop, but they should be able to do so, especially if we see some caution laps in tonight's race, which we tend to see plethora of cautions in Truck Series races, let alone on super speedways. Hopefully we have a safe race tonight, a fun race at that, and let's get this Truck Series season kick-started, and right at about the midway point of Speed Week already on the channel. We'll be halfway home, past halfway really, after tonight, considering the ARCA races tonight too. Zachary Wall, also welcome to the stream. Mike G. Robert Perkle. Patty Rundy Creations. Snowed about 5 inches in your area today. We had a dusting. I don't know how much more has accumulated since I've been outside. Haven't let the dog out in a minute. I mean, I could see it in the grass, even with the spotlights out in the parking lot, so... Got a little bit of snow here. Maybe we're supposed to get more overnight. I didn't really check. No snow in Daytona, I can tell you that much. Going to be in the 60s the rest of the weekend. Let you listen into the FS1 broadcast. Adam Alexander, Phil Parsons, and Michael Waltrip on the broadcast. You can watch the race on Fox Sports 1 if you're looking for any visuals. And obviously our visual here on the screen will be the raw feed on NASCAR.com per usual, as you see currently on the screen already.
That's going to change things for him. So
talking with Ben Rhodes right now.
He's going to have to assess things as they go.
Well, Phoenix was awesome. Congratulations, two-time champs. Go get you a Daytona win tonight.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
We said strategy is important. Evidently, for some, it's a bit of a moving target tonight, huh? Let's take one more trip down the pit lane, start things off with Amanda.
One of the guys that's going to be looking to limit those moving targets is the guy in that 38 Front Row Motorsports truck driven by Lane Riggs from Bahama, North Carolina, who is making his debut tonight. You know, it's big shoes that he's going to have to fill, and the guy that drove that truck prior in Zane Smith. But I asked Lane as he was climbing into his truck one word to describe this moment. Smiled really big, looked around, looked into the stands, and said, "I have to," in awe. Regan?
Well, man, it was a wild offseason for Grant Enfinger in the number 9 truck. At the end of last season, of course, GMS Racing shuts down. Grant lands at CR7 Motorsports, owned by Cody Rowa, who is also in the field tonight. Grant told me he is super excited about this opportunity and about being a part of this team. He said it's different than anything he's ever done before because he had to help build this team. He has helped do all the things during the offseason, whether it's moving shop or being involved with it. And, oh, by the way, they were able to bring in a championship crew chief in Jeff Stankiewicz. Keep an eye on this team this season. Grant Enfinger is going to turn some heads.
Also a reminder that GMS did shut down at the end of last season as well as far as Truck Series operations to focus full-time on the Cup Series operations. And if you're wondering, well, GMS isn't in the Cup Series, that is what Legacy Motor Club is. The owner of the GMS Truck Series program, Maury Gallagher, was in partnership with Richard Petty and Jimmy Johnson as a co-own what was formerly RPM, now Legacy Motor Club. They made the switch from Chevy to a Toyota. So again, and adding an extra car going into last season as well to their program full-time. They've got 2 charters, and Johnson will be running more races part-time this season, so they wanted full focus on that to build that program up. They have a technical alliance, obviously, with the other Toyotas at 2311 Racing and Joe Gibbs Racing, considering that there are still lack of Toyotas in the field compared to Chevys and Fords on that side. But again, they shut down operations, so that is why they are no longer there. And again, remember that KBM had sold out to Tricon Garage last season as well, late in the year. So they are no longer in the Craftsman Truck Series as well. So with a lack of stronger teams, it'll be interesting to see how this season is going to unfold. We may see a lack of, first-time winners or a lack of variety of winners. I could easily see somebody going on to win 6-7 races this season. Honestly, I could see like 3 drivers to win 4+ races this year, which is quite a bit when you consider, again, the schedule's only 23 races in the Truck Series. You get 3-4 drivers winning 4 races. I mean, that's already 4 of them winning 4. That's going to take up 16 races already. This is definitely going to be one of the wild card races. And as for those underdog teams trying to get into the playoffs, great chance to do so not only this week, but next week as well. Remember, Atlanta Motor Speedway will be raced next Saturday and Sunday for the Truck, Xfinity, and Cup Series. We'll have coverage for you all day Saturday with NASCAR Cup Series practice, qualifying, truck race, Xfinity race. We'll have 3 live streams next Saturday on the channel for that. And, of course, the Cup Series race on Sunday afternoon. But back-to-back super speedways for all 3 series for the first time in NASCAR history that will be taking place. Obviously, with the reconfiguration, revamp of Atlanta Motor Speedway to become a super speedway hybrid style racetrack. A lot of fans in the stands for this Truck Series race. Great to see. I mean, it's not sold out, but it is pretty packed, and that's great to see during speed weeks. Maybe the only uninterrupted day for the rest of the weekend as far as rain. There is no rain in the forecast tonight. They should be able to get the truck and ARCA races in without a problem for weather. So let's buckle up tight. 100 laps, 250 miles will begin as they head to the Geico restart zone. Ty Majeski electing the inside lane for the start. Green flag in the air, and the Truck Series campaign in 2024 is underway. Looked like there was near contact off the start when they were getting up to speed at about the start-finish line between the 2 drivers on the front row of Ty Majeski and Johnny Sauter. Looked like Sauter may have spun the tires just a little bit. Surprised that despite the fact the 98 was clear by about a full truck length going into turn 1, in the middle of the corner, Sauter got enough of a push from behind that he was able to pull alongside, and now a bigger push on the back straightaway almost clears Majeski into turn 3, but not quite. They're door-to-door. And a lot of these trucks moving around quite a bit. Now, you can't lock bumpers like you can in the NASCAR Cup Series. It's like that for the rule's sake on these super speedways in Truck and Xfinity Series races at Daytona, Talladega, and Atlanta. The reason being is because a lot of the field is younger, less inexperienced in general. They're more inexperienced, and leads to potentially more wrecks than what you would see in the Cup side. So you can't lock bumpers. There's no real set rule for how many seconds they can lock bumpers for, or tap, or bump draft the truck or car in front of them. So it's just kind of an eyeball check, I guess. A very black and white rule. We don't really see it enforced all too much. I'd like to say that the Truck and Xfinity Series drivers tend to not push the issue too much into NASCAR's hand to potentially make that call, but things are definitely going to end up ratcheting up the closer we get to the end of this race. But again, right now, Ben Rhodes and Johnny Sauter still door-to-door for the lead, as they have been pretty much since the start. Since they got into turns 1 and 2 on that opening lap. We're currently lap 3 in the middle of turns 1 and 2, and already 3 lanes forming in the back of the pack right now. For the most part, all 36 trucks nearly in this giant lead pack, and 3 wide from about 15th on back or so. Johnny Sauter's got a huge momentum gain out of seemingly nowhere down the backstretch, and he is clear into turns 3 and 4. Like Daniel Dye potentially shuffled out of line back there. Nope, that was not Dye. Looked like Brett Moffitt. Thad Moffitt, excuse me, in the 46 truck shuffled out of line with Matt Craftsman right there behind him. Not sure if he gave him a push, got him a little loose. Once Sauter was able to clear getting into turn 3 the last lap, he quickly pulled down to the double yellow line in front of Ben Rhodes. Rhodes officially led 1 lap. It was the second lap of the race. First lap was led by the second place starter, Johnny Sauter. Lap 2 was led by Majeski. Lap 3 led by Sauter. So we've already had 3 lead changes in the first 3 laps. Outside, starting to fade just a little bit. Only 20 laps in this first stage. Got to go quickly for those stage points for a lot of these regulars that are going to be competing for a championship. Every point matters when you look at a guy like Stuart Friesen last season who missed the playoffs. He's got to go. Quickly single file through at least the top dozen, maybe a little bit more than that. All in the bottom lane. Still a few trucks on the outside. Again, well outside the top 10. There's only about 4 or 5 of them that are actually nose to tail. And that's mainly because they just couldn't find a hole to get to the bottom. Got some faster trucks up there, though. Matt Crafton, Christian Eckes. Nick Sanchez leading the way. Tanner Gray also in that group. Ben Rhodes. So there's some faster trucks up there trying to make their way to the front of the pack. Nick Sanchez like quite a few laps at Talladega in the fall race last season. So I would not be shocked if he's going to be one of the favorites by way of speed here tonight. Has to stay out of trouble, and obviously being in the middle of the running order right now, it's not where you want to be. It's probably the most likely you're going to have trouble. You want to be at the very front of the pack, or vice versa. Huge contact, and already have multiple trucks around in the back straightaway. Stuart Friesen gets turned. Got some trucks sliding through the grass. Nick Sanchez goes around. One truck pounding the outside wall, then back into Thad Moffitt, who has severe damage. And the 71, it looked like, also got a big piece of that. And it looks like we have about a half a dozen trucks involved in an accident on lap 6 of this 100-lap race. There was contact on the back straightaway between Matt Crafton and another race truck, and we'll have to get a good look at the replay of exactly what ended up happening there that caused the wreck, but there was definite contact between Crafton and whoever was on the inside lane below him. Not sure if he had gotten hit from behind and got a little loose, or if he went down to side draft too aggressively. Tough to tell exactly how that started, but it happened quick, and once he got sideways after making the contact, basically ended up turning Friesen down the racetrack in front of a couple other trucks. Moffitt's out of his race truck. His day is going to come to an end. The 25 of Ty Dillon also has quite a bit of damage. They're working on busting the window net down there, so it looks like Ty Dillon is also going to be done for the night. "13 trucks got a huge amount of damage. It'll be tough for them to continue. Raja Caruth in the 71, by the way, who had quite a bit of damage also. Keith McGee in the 27. So Ty Dillon, Thad Moffitt, we know for a fact are going to be out of the race. Others collected in that incident that I know of off the top of my head would have been Stuart Friesen, Tanner Gray, Nick Sanchez, obviously Matt Crafton, Raja Caruth, Keith McGee. Crafton has not made his way to pit road yet. And by the time we get this all cleaned up, we should be pretty close to the end of stage 1. Again, only 20 laps in this first stage. A sprint through the first 2 stages of this race, as they typically are for the Truck Series races. Relatively shorter in length. 250 miles, about as long as they are in mileage throughout the season.
This is what Matt Crafton was talking about. As you see Eckes in the blue Napa truck right behind Crafton. Just turned him a little bit sideways. Lane Riggs, look at that job he's doing. Yeah, then he got into the 15. Crafton got into the 15 of Tanner Gray. There's Ty Dillon getting into the outside wall of red and white. Red, white and blue truck, excuse me. You see, Crafton was about a half truck length up high on the back of Tanner Gray. Tough break for Stuart Friesen there, the 52 Halmar truck. Wow. Look at that dirt. This would be a great shot of it here, right there. He hit Lane Riggs hard. Watch Lane Riggs, that yellow truck, avoid the 15 of Tanner Gray. Just slipped right through there, didn't he? Great job. Looks like that Taylor Gray, maybe Corey Heim avoiding Ty Dillon. And did you see all the dirt that Grant Enfinger kicked up in the infield? Hopefully he can get that truck repaired. Raja, the 71, also getting some damage. Remember our buddy Ben Rhodes going to the back of the pack? He was making some ground. Let's ride with him and see what it looked like from his viewpoint. Wow. And we saw him right behind Jake Garcia. We saw all the damage on his truck.
12 trucks involved. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good at Daytona, right?
Well, I think that was a combination of both, because Ben Rhodes kept his truck pointed in the right direction, used a little bit of gas, used a little bit of brake, and then eventually saw the clear.
We made it 6 laps, and we get a caution. 12 trucks involved. More from Daytona after you watch this.
Johnny Sauter, the current race leader at the time of the caution. Ty Majeski scored in second place under the yellow. Corey LaJoie third. Tyler Ankrum fourth. Daniel Dye fifth. Bailey Curry sixth. Taylor Gray seventh. Brett Holmes eighth. Tony Breidinger ninth. And Dean Thompson is in 10th. I'll be reminding you guys all night as well as pretty much all season, but be sure to hit that like button on the stream if you haven't done so yet, and also subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as we have, well, not daily through the weekend. I'm used to saying daily because last year we were doing daily content. I will get back to daily content at some point in time relatively soon. Get through this ad real quick. Check to see how many likes we're at on the stream. It looks like we are at 38 likes. Our goal is going to be 100 likes for tonight's stream. It's usually what we set for these Truck and Xfinity Series live streams. So, once again, hit that like button. We're at 38 right now. Try to get to 100 before the end of this first stream today. ARCA race will be coming up a little bit later. And definitely subscribe because we are on the road to 5,000 subscribers on the channel. There is a chance we can get there this weekend. If we could run that up, we have just about 200 likes to go. Again, 200 likes to go to get to about 5,000. I think the Xfinity race will be tomorrow. I haven't checked the weather in Daytona yet today. I checked it at the end of the live stream yesterday, and it didn't look very good for at least Saturday. And I'll check real quick while we're on stream. Obviously, them moving the ARCA race today, probably the best way to get it in. Let's see here, Daytona Beach. Hour by hour forecast. Yeah, still scheduled to start raining about 7 a.m. tomorrow at Daytona. So no problem with getting both races in tonight. And it's supposed to pretty much rain all the way through the day. I mean, unless something, breaks up, which isn't impossible, but it just doesn't seem likely. 5 p.m. tomorrow, the start of the Xfinity race. 94% chance of rain. It's pretty much in the 80 and 90 percentile range all the way through the rest of the night. I think the only thing they could possibly do is with the ARCA race being moved to today, maybe there's a chance they move the race up a little earlier and there could be a window. But the possible rain chance, the possibility for rain is definitely up pretty high through the evening into the night, which is when the race is supposed to take place tomorrow for the Xfinity Series. So that's probably the best chance at having an opportunity to race. Now, on Sunday, it's looking very unlikely. I mean, the percentage of rain, percentage chance of rain from really about 3 a.m. in the morning Sunday all the way through at least 6 p.m. is as far as I can go on the Weather Channel app right now. It's 94% every hour from 3 a.m. to 6. I doubt that's going to go down much into the night as well, but we'll check at the end of the night with these streams here today. So Sunday is looking very unlikely for the Daytona 500. If they do race Monday, you can still tune in right here on the channel. We will have coverage for you, whether that would be Monday afternoon, Monday night, whatever it would end up being. But doesn't look likely for Sunday. Maybe there's a potential window early in the afternoon tomorrow for the Xfinity race, but I definitely think they would have to move it up if they are going to get that race in tomorrow. That's kind of my prediction there, just based off of what I'm looking at. Yeah, ARCA set their this is true. And this is their biggest race of the season. It's everybody's biggest race of the season. It's Daytona. Unless, you're racing for a championship at Phoenix at the end of the year. I mean, this is your biggest race. By way of prestige for the 500 on what's scheduled to be Sunday, at least for the Cup Series this weekend. Yeah, we'll see. And obviously NASCAR is going to wait, until probably Sunday morning to actually make a decision. Knowing it's the Daytona 500, they're probably not going to make the decision too early unless it really doesn't look like they're going to get the race in. The interesting thing is what time will they make it Monday? Because they've ran Monday night in recent years when they have postponed the Daytona 500, which makes me believe that they're going to try to run it on Monday night again. But if they can get it in earlier in the day, it also depends, what's the forecast looking like on Monday. If they're calling for rain Monday night, then they're going to race in the afternoon on Monday. Should be interesting. If they race Monday night, I'm going to be so tired going into work on Tuesday. Oh, my goodness. That'll be interesting. I mean, it's anybody's race anyway. No matter the day or series, it's Daytona. And we've had 3 underdogs basically win the Daytona 500 3 consecutive years. I kind of hope an established veteran actually wins the 500 this year. I don't want to say it's losing, prestige or legitimacy necessarily, but it does add to the legitimacy of the Daytona 500 if you get veterans to win. Even if it's not a first-time veteran to win the race, like somebody who's like a champion of the sport or like a championship contender, like a Bell or a Byron, like somebody that's a, active big name that's going to finish top 10 to top 15 in points consistently year in and year out. I want somebody like that to win the championship, 3 years in a row. It hasn't happened. And granted, those drivers end up finishing top 16 points because they were locked into the playoffs, but it wouldn't have happened if, obviously they wouldn't have won that said race, being Stenhouse last year, McDowell in 21, and Cindric in 22. But Cindric does look strong again, though. I predict him to win his duel yesterday, and he finished second. And I like Austin Cindric for an underdog again this weekend. And at least he's somebody who's won that race already, so I guess there's some legitimacy there. And he's proven to be a really good super speedway racer in the Cup Series. I think he actually has an Xfinity win at Daytona also. Just call Steve Phelps and tell him 2 p.m. Monday is good. Yeah. If Steve Phelps is watching, which I highly doubt he is. Steve, if you're watching, we're okay if you move it to Monday a little earlier than expected. It gives me a chance to reschedule the stream well in advance. It gives fans enough time to try to adjust. I'll tell you what, there'll be a lot of NASCAR fans calling off of work Monday. I can feel it already. If I wasn't on this YouTube channel, I probably would still do it too. Talking with Ty Dillon outside the Infield Care Center.
Your experience in it.
That was the wildest couple laps I've ran. Everybody just kind of all over the place, not really having a plan. And our plan was to try to get our Miraculous Roofing 50th anniversary Silverado to the front. And it was just so crazy. I don't really know who started there. I saw the 88 start turning, so I checked up, thought I was going to be good enough. When I hit the grass right here, it just spun the rear tires, and thought I saved it coming across, and where we just had mild damage. And then, it's hard to dodge it all. But it's just crazy. I think these races are so short, you got to really get after it pretty quick. I was trying to get us up front, so it's unfortunate we got taken out, but just a small hiccup to start the year.
8 laps to go in stage 1. Green flag back in the air. Field running 2x2 as they work their way down towards turn 1 once again. Big gap on the inside lane in between the 5th and 6th car in line. About 4 or 5 car lengths of a gap. Surprised nobody on that outside potentially moved down. A lot easier to work your way forward through the pack on the outside than the inside. You really get boxed into the bottom because of not being able to pass below the double yellow line. And even if you get to the lead on the top, you risk if you move down, you're not quite fast enough to lead that inside line ahead of everybody else, that whoever ends up leading the outside line will then kind of move down in front of you, and then you're trapped again, and it becomes the roulette wheel that we usually see at Daytona. Super speedway racing in general. Johnny Sauter going to lead the first lap following the restart by about a half a truck length. Over Ty Majeski, those two have traded laps led for a large majority of this race, at least of the 13 laps we have ran. Everybody's still 2 by 2 though, knowing that those stage points are on the line in another 6.5 laps. Remember, the top 10 receive the stage points, 1 point per position from 10th all the way back down. 10 points for first, 9 for second, and 1 point per position all the way down to 10th, who will get 1 point. Playoff point, obviously, for the stage winner as well. It's amazing how many of these trucks are just moving around. It doesn't look like anybody's handling real well at all. A lot of that, probably the inexperience in the field, but even some of the veterans that ended up making contact with each other in the middle of the pack, which started that incident, like Matt Craftsman was still moving around quite a bit too. They did have a full practice session for the Truck and Xfinity Series today. Qualifying was also for the Xfinity Series, if I'm not mistaken, earlier today. I think there were 44 entries for the Xfinity Series field. Only 38 of them were able to make the show. 42 entries in the NASCAR Cup Series. We saw 2 go home through the dual races last night. Unfortunately for J.J. Yaley, was not able to beat out Jimmy Johnson, was passed on the last lap, and we also saw another late battle in dual race number 2. And unfortunately, that ended up sending B.J. McLeod home as he was racing Kaz Gralla for the final spot in that race to race their way into the Daytona 500. 5 to go, stage 1. I don't see us making it to the end of this stage without another wreck. I mean, this is pretty gnarly in the middle of the pack. I mean, even on the straightaway, we're seeing a ton of these guys. And, well, there we go. Caution's out. I saw that coming. It was at the back of the pack because I didn't see it on screen. The 33 of Lawless Allen's around, and just like last year, our traditional Lawless Allen caution is out. A lot of damage on that racetrack. He might have gotten caught up in the wreck before this because of how much damage he has. Now, there's no splitter on that racetrack. I feel like that's a part you have to have on the truck to continue to race. And it definitely adds a lot of downforce, so when you don't have that on there, I can imagine the amount of airflow that is probably going under that truck. Everybody's dancing around as it is. I would not be surprised if he lost control on his own. Wait to see where he's at. Yeah, he was all on his own and lost control in the middle of turns 3 and 4. There's zero downforce on that thing. And actually, it looked like the splitter got ripped off as he went through the grass off the exit of turn 2. So the splitter was on. And then it got sheared off once he hit the sod. And the 27 truck was dragging its back bumper and other parts and pieces. Drag it from underneath that race truck. They'll continue to bear bond it up. So they try to keep him out on the racetrack.
That. You see the splitter gets completely gone off of Lawless Allen's truck. Coming to lap 17. If we do go back racing, it's just going to be 1 lap.
Yep.
And that'll be a wild one, I would think.
And we're hearing from NASCAR. They want to get this thing restarted before the end of the stages. Lane Riggs goes behind the wall, Amanda.
Oof.
Yeah, Adam, you hate to see it. The Bahama native is going back to the garage. His team was telling him that they apologize and that they're sorry. And Lane just said, dang, you can do everything right, and this is how it happens.
I know he's frustrated and disappointed, but we're going to see a lot more of Lane Riggs this year. A lot of people using some strategy again, Phil. There's Daniel Dye coming to pit road. Getting his fuel now to give enough stage points. You got to make that decision. Like I said, it's a balancing act. He will obviously stay out. And Stephen Parsons. Stephen's not running all the races, so he can use a whole playbook. He doesn't care about stage points.
Cody in that same situation.
Yeah, Cody Robaugh looking under the right rear. I think maybe checking the shock and make sure they don't have an issue with the shock. Wonder if he doesn't like the way it's driving or something, maybe. You saw the rear tire changer kind of wobbling the tire to make sure it didn't have too much play in it. Like there was a hub issue or something like that. And this is a solid rear axle on these trucks, much like the Xfinity cars. The Cup cars have independent rear suspension. Tough break for Lane Riggs.
Amanda?
Lane, we saw how you got out of the truck. I know this is an emotional moment for you. Before we kicked off, you said that you were in awe. How do you describe it now?
I just want to go race. I want to get out there on the track and race and learn. And man, that really, really stings. You know, we had a stupid fast truck. It was coming to the front so fast and it was handling so good. And I guess they were pushing on the outside lane like it was the last lap already. I mean, I'm not a super speedway expert by any means, but I know that was a little too early. So really hate it for these guys. Thank you to Low Travel Stop for getting me here to the racetrack. I just want to rebound. I want to come back. This is not how this year's going to go.
Thank you, Lane.
Well, we saw yesterday how much it meant for him to be here, and this is how much it means, how disappointed he is for what happened there. Very aggressive racing, but that's, if you watch a replay from last year, the year before, the year before that, that's what you're going to get. Every year. Yes, sir. And again, in the first stage, in the first 20 laps of the race. Tanner Gray got the free pass and is going to go around and line up at the back of the field. And as you see here, folks choosing. So we're going to go back green for one lap of racing.
29 trucks on the lead lap, which is hard to believe when you consider we had 12 trucks involved in that incident at lap 6.
Yeah, we lost 4 trucks. 4 trucks are listed as out of the race.
Tomorrow on FS1, the future stars are back with roaring engines and grueling nonstop action. See who claims the first checkered flag of the season. It's NASCAR's Xfinity Series, 5 Eastern time on FS1.
And guys, if I was one of those drivers that decided to use some strategy, I would stay well back of this field on this restart. Well, that's the direction they're going to get from their spotter and their crew chief. We've played our hand here, and the part of playing our hand means we're going to lay back and not get in this mess if something was to break out on this one-lap sprint. See Ben Rhodes, we know where he started. He's been to pit road, got gas, and he's all the way up to 12th position. So he's probably thinking stage points, wouldn't you guess, Phil? Absolutely. Yeah, whole different scenario for somebody like that has a chance to get some stage points.
There's going to be a handful of drivers that started outside the top 20 that no doubt are going to get some stage points here. The give and take and strategy and accidents at a place like Daytona can really shake it up in a hurry.
And you may say, why are we talking about stage points first race of the year? You come race 16 with 7 to go, they're going to become extremely important.
So here we go, one lap shootout for stage number 1. And then we will get another caution, playoff point on the line if you can win the stage. And again, top 10 get stage points. 1 point per position. Green flag back in the air. Johnny Sauter, the control truck in the restart, elected the outside lane. He's been on the outside for every start/restart today. And Majeski's been on the inside of row 1 for every start and restart so far here today. And he's getting pushed quite a bit. 98 truck with not a lot of room, considering the 45's really hugging him tightly down to the bottom of the racetrack. Nearly saw a turn on the back straightaway. 41 of Bailey Curry jumping down into the bottom lane was getting pushed by the 5 of Dean Thompson pretty heavily. Curry's got a run on his teammate, but I doubt he's going to try to pull out a line here on the front stretch. Doesn't look like he's going to have enough momentum built up. Remember, these guys are still getting up to speed. And Johnny Sauter is going to go on to win stage 1 at Daytona. Curry by a nose holds on to second. Ty Majeski third. And actually, it looked like Majeski might have gotten him. I didn't think he did. No, he did not. Fox's leaderboard is different from ours. I'm going to trust our leaderboard here because it looked like Bailey Curry got him. So Bailey Curry ends up finishing second in stage 2 behind Johnny Sauter. Sauter again winning stage 1. Ty Majeski third. Tyler Ankrum 4th. Taylor Gray in 5th. Brett Holmes 6th. Jack Wood 7th. Christian Eckes in 8th. Dean Thompson 9th. Corey Heim rounds out the top 10. Full screen commercial break on FS1. We'll take a quick ad break here. You're listening live on KRC to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series season opener at Daytona. NASCAR Vintage 17, Joe C. Pilatus 1968, thanks for tuning in. Delbert Wilson, Venice Beach Sports Network. Earl Arnold Jr. Now you've been in here, but appreciate you tuning back in as well. Matt Hunter, thanks for tuning in. Jeff, you're 7, welcome into the stream. And over 1,000 views already on the stream. Appreciate that, everybody, for tuning in here tonight. It's going to be tough to beat last season. I think we ended up at 7,500. The Haley Deegan effect really helps the Truck Series ratings out quite a bit because we would tend to have more higher ratings for the Truck Series than what we would on the Xfinity Series on a weekly basis. So maybe that means the Xfinity ratings are going to go up on the channel this year in comparison to the Truck side, but we'll see. Subscribe. We've got more Speed Week and NASCAR content all season long. Live commentary streams just like you're hearing now throughout every NASCAR Truck, Xfinity, and Cup Series race throughout the season. A special ARCA stream this weekend as well has been moved from yesterday afternoon to tonight. Again, after the Truck Series race tonight, probably expecting right around 10:30, give or take, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time roughly. We will start that stream. If they get going, obviously, before that, I'll start the stream before it, but they're going to have to take probably a half hour or so after this race before we even get that race in. They got to get all the trucks off the pit lane, and then we got to get all the ARCA cars out there. So that transfer over from one race to the next will take a little bit of time. But ARCA race, live stream right after this one on the channel. It's going to be a late night. But it is a Friday. Majority of people tend to have off on the weekends. And if you don't have off of work tomorrow, let me know in the chat. I'm kind of curious. I'll put a poll up. NASCAR Vintage 17, thanks for the, not sure, I don't know if that's a euro or not, but thanks for the super chat. $2 and something. Big up from France. New season of NASCAR, Keegan. Yes, it is a new season of NASCAR. Appreciate that, by the way. Is that the only one I've gotten so far? I want to make sure I didn't miss any others. I've got an icon that's kind of blocking when they pop up, so I'm glad I saw that in the chat when I did. Riley, thanks for tuning in. East Resurgence, we'll see. They were good last year. Carson Hocevar made it to the championship 4. Won 4 races. But he was the only one that was really doing anything. The very end of the season, Bailey Curry was having some good runs. I think he was in a part-time role last year. I think this year he's running full-time. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat if he's not running full-time this year. But I definitely know he had decent runs at the end of the season last year. Not quite as competitive as Hocevar, but he's looking good tonight. He's got a teammate in a good super speedway race in the Truck Series of Johnny Sauter up there right now, so it's a good person to learn from on this racetrack. I'm not sure how many races Johnny Sauter is going to be running this year or not. He's been part-time in the Truck Series for the last several seasons, since leaving ThorSport. Pit road will be open this time and we'll see the first pit stops of the day for a large majority of the field, especially some of the heavier hitters in this race. At least of those that were not taken out in that early incident. Speaking of which, drivers who are out of the race already would include Keith McGee, Lane Riggs, Jake Garcia, Ty Dillon, and Thad Moffitt have all DNF'd already. So 5 trucks out of the race through stage 1 after that 12-truck incident that took place on the back straightaway. Back on lap 6. More details on that in a second. Here comes the field to pit road.
Teammates coming down. Majeski stays out. So does Tyler Ankrum. Taylor Gray. Brett Holmes coming down as well, Amanda.
You look at him pull into his pit box. He's going to take gas only here. He was talking about the splitter a little bit, but I think that they're going to assess that later on. Regan?
Johnny Sauter, just a splash of fuel is all they needed. He said the handling on that truck is great. No changes for him. And the 41 of Bailey Curry just a little bit tight off of the corners. Fuel only for him as well.
So the truck numbers, at least, that were involved in that incident of the back straightaway, again, only 5 of them are out of the race, but involved the 2 of Nick Sanchez, Lane Riggs. Riggs has gone to the garage after the fact of the incident, but he was involved in that. Stuart Friesen was also involved. He continues in this race, but he's currently 1 lap down. Wallace Allen, Matt Crafton, Thad Moffitt. Moffitt again is out of the race. Enfinger was involved. Raja Caruth was involved. Tanner Gray. 42 truck of Matt Mills was in it. And Ty Dillon was taken out in that incident. And the 27 also was involved of Keith McGee. And then McGee and Allen were involved in another caution that came out shortly after the first restart of the race at lap 15. And we had the stage yellow at lap 20 with a 1-lap shootout right before that. So this is currently our 3rd caution already of the night, just 20 laps at Daytona. 23 laps complete. It's taken 35 minutes to get there. Oh boy, this is classic truck series right here, where we tend to see more yellow flag laps than green flag laps, and so far that has been the case here tonight. Hopefully we get some green flag racing in. Another short stage 2, though, ensuing. End of the 2nd stage will be at lap 40. Stage cautions are back for all races this season. The regular season for the Truck, Xfinity, and Cup Series last season did not have stage cautions unless they were standalone Truck and Xfinity races due to lack of crew members at the track on a non-Cup Series race weekend at whatever track they were at. But all season long in all 3 series, we will have stage cautions even on the road courses once again. So that will become a norm. Well, trial period last year. They did bring it back in the playoffs with the Roval race weekend for the Xfinity and Cup Series, but it's going to be back in full swing this year. Buzz Gold, thanks for tuning in. He's been doing these streams again this year. Yeah, man, I love it. Tanya Belcher, thanks for tuning in. 90% chance of rain. What's going to happen? Yeah, Sunday's not looking good. I will say it's at 100% yesterday, and now it's down to 95. So it's gone down. I'm still not very optimistic about Sunday. I'm very, very cautiously optimistic about tomorrow, only because they moved the ARCA race up, that if there's a window, in the late morning hours or like very early afternoon, if they move the start time of the Xfinity race up, then maybe they have a chance, because it's about a 50 to 60% chance of rain right now in the early afternoon. But if they get into the evening, nighttime hours, like that race is supposed to start at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, it's back to 80 to 90% chance of rain at that point in time. So less likely if they go with the original start time. But if they're able to move that race up a little bit, which, we saw it with the Clash and we saw it with the ARCA race already this weekend, there's no reason why they can't. They may be able to get that race in. If they're not worried about it too much tomorrow, they end up postponing the Xfinity race. It just looks like we'll have a doubleheader on Monday, which also leads to the Cup race more than likely being on Monday night. If they have to run the Xfinity race on Monday as well, we'll probably see an Xfinity race like 1, 2 o'clock, and then the Daytona 500 coming up on Monday night. Needless to say, we will still have live commentary streams this weekend for the Xfinity and the Cup Series still. It's just subject to change as far as time. I'll keep you guys posted in the community tab as I did for tonight with the ARCA race. And obviously, again, ARCA has been moved up to tonight, so we will be doing commentary for that. The only ARCA race I have planned to do this season for commentary purposes, I may do Talladega in the spring as well for ARCA, but I don't plan on doing ARCA every week. They actually race at the same time as some of the Truck and Xfinity races this year when they're on like standalone ARCA events. So it's literally impossible for me to do every race, and because it is, I'm not going to stress trying to get every one of those races in. Or they'll be going on during like Cup qualifying or practice or something, and I'll be doing Cup qualifying and practice all season long in addition to the races in the top 3 series. I'm not doing qualifying and practice live streams for the Truck Series, but Truck or Xfinity, but I am doing them for Cup. Hope no driver goes airborne. Better not see it happen in the Xfinity Series again. Yeah, there was quite a few in the Xfinity Series. There's one in this race on the last lap with Sam Mayer last year, and then there were two in the Spring Dagger race I went to, which was absolutely nuts. Didn't they have one in the Summer Daytona event too? I mean, I know Ryan Preece did in the Cup Series, but was there one in the Xfinity race too? Could be wrong on that. Yep, Ty Majeski did stay on the racetrack. Whoever said that in the chat, you are correct. Michael Turner. Wyatt Gamer TV, thanks for tuning in. Rev Rasheem Hall Stewart, thanks for tuning in. I think the 500 will be a wreck fest? I don't think so. You've seen a fairly tame super speedway races for the most part with the next gen. We'll get like a late caution or two at the end, but we haven't seen that many overtimes. And a lot of green flag finishes last season on super speedways, so I'd say less. I'd say 7 or 8 or less than that. But I don't see it turning into a huge wreck fest. You might have the traditional big one, but that's almost a given. But I don't think it'll get out of control. Could be wrong, we'll see. But I don't think so. Back to racing. That second groove did not get going from about the third car on back. And they are fading. I'm not sure if there were some shifts missed or a tire spin, whatever the case was. It looked like Enfinger, Carruth, and Breitinger on the outside ended up getting separated quite a bit, leaving the first two trucks in that outside lane to fall immediately backwards. Front of the pack now is the 18 of Tyler Ankrum. Been driving that truck all year, making the switch. Third different race team Ankrum has been in his young Truck Series full-time career. His only win came at Eldora a couple of seasons ago in the 16. But he does have one career win in the Truck Series. He has yet to win on asphalt. But he leads at Daytona, lap 8 of 20 in stage 2, 28 of 100 in total. Top 5 following the restart. Tyler Ankrum leads, Christian Eckes second, Ben Rhodes third, Corey LaJoie fourth, and Matt Crafton is up to fifth. Crafton started relatively deep in the field, back half of the field for that matter, and he's made his way up quickly. Same goes for Ben Rhodes. Some pit strategy played into effect there. Some drivers pitted during that late caution in stage 1, ended up staying out during the stage break, and the drivers who stayed out to get the stage points ended up pitting, and now rules are reversed. So you see drivers who are up at the front there early, like a Bailey Curry, Johnny Sauter, Dean Thompson, and those guys are now in the middle of the pack and trying to work themselves forward again. Nick Sanchez leading the charge on the outside. We've seen the 2 truck try to lead the outside once earlier. Didn't have enough green flag laps to really get it going. He's doing a great job right now. Moved up about 2 to 3 trucks that entire last lap, and now he's alongside Crafton for about 5th place. The front 4 have a little bit of a gap built up. Just a matter of trying to side draft down the back straightaway to hold that inside line up just a little bit. Corey LaJoie sees that outside move, and he's going to jump up in front of his fellow Chevy. And we'll see if anybody else tries to move up in front of LaJoie, but Corey LaJoie now going to try to lead that group. Sideways is the 43 of Daniel Dye, nearly making contact with the 7 of LaJoie to his outside in the middle of the corner. LaJoie now side drafts Crafton. That was a close moment there. And Ben Rhodes is going to move off the bottom in front of LaJoie as well. So Rhodes trying to lead the charge. He's a 2-time Daytona winner in the NASCAR Truck Series 3 if you count on the road course as well. Not the same style of racetrack, but still at the world center of racing nonetheless. And Ben Rhodes leading the charge on the outside. He'll get alongside Ankrum, and they're door-to-door for the race lead into turn 3 at lap 30. Coming to the line this time by, we'll have 10 laps to go in stage 2. Trucks have been dancing around quite a bit. Some adjustments, I'm sure, were changed by most of these teams to try to help with the handling side of things. I would imagine we're not going to see them wiggle around quite as much as we get further and further along in this one.
Ben Rhodes drops to the rear, no problem. He said, you can call me 2-time. And here he is looking for the lead at Daytona. Middle stages, of stage 2.
We were talking to Rich Lucis yesterday. He said, I have the best drafter in the field in my truck, and that's Ben Rhodes. And he's got the second best drafter, in my opinion, in the field, Corey LaJoie, right on his tailgate. So important. Ooh, Ankrum gets a little bit sideways up off the corner. These trucks are a handful. They are that.
7 still with you, and I'd like to bring the 7 with us. 7 still tight on you.
That's Frank Denny Jr.
Caution's out. Caution's out.
Oh, good. I can breathe.
4th caution of the night. And there's the reason why.
Got a tire carcass.
Somebody's carcass of a tire is over there. I believe it's Stuart Friesen. Stuart came to pit road, the right rear flat. Can he get that tire changed? Gonna have to figure out what caused it as well. They're gonna put 4 on it.
9 to go, stage 2. Caution is out. Tyler Ankrum is your leader at Daytona.
A little kid screaming on the commercial. All right, so under caution for the 4th time there, debris. It looked like in turns 1 and 2, Stuart Friesen, his tire carcass came off. It might have been debris that was laid down that he could have potentially had ran over from the 33 truck of Lawless Allen. As Allen goes to the garage, he'll be done. And if that is the case, then that would be the 3rd caution that he's been involved in tonight, but it'll be the last, as once he goes to the garage, his day will come to an end. So 4th caution, we're guaranteed at least one more at lap 40 as well, in a very caution-filled first half of the Fresh from Florida 250 at Daytona. Ben Rhodes is currently your race leader under the yellow. Tyler Ankrum 2nd. They'll be on the front row more than likely in the restart, and then behind them will be Christian Eckes, Corey LaJoie, then followed by Matt Crafton and Nick Sanchez. Take a quick ad break while we're under this 4th caution. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Keep our live commentary coverage going of the Craftsman Truck Series season opener at Daytona. Best Daytona 500 was 1998. Hard to believe it has been 26 years this season since Dale Earnhardt won the Daytona 500. TRG Tornado, thanks for tuning in also. 6 more yellows, that's a prediction. That's a generous prediction. I'm going to go on to Racing Reference while we're under the caution. I want to see how many yellows we had in last year's race. Probably something I should have looked up for my notes before the race, but I did not. I didn't even think about it, clearly. Let's go Daytona. Racing Reference. Let's take a look. I'll go over recent years and not just last season. We obviously tend to see a lot of yellows. Zane Smith, obviously the winner in the last 2. Ford's actually gone to victory lane 3 consecutive races here at Daytona. All right, let's see here. Only 7 cautions last year. Oh, that's right, because it ended early. That's right. Yeah, it ended 20 laps early due to rain. I forgot about that. That's why there was only 7. Granted, seven cautions in 80 laps is quite a bit, but I mean, considering we're guaranteed 5 in the first 40, we're definitely on pace to beating that. So the last full race at Daytona, the year before in 22, I was there. I don't remember there being a lot of cautions in that race. Yeah, it was only 5 the year before that. I was going to say, I was at that race, and I didn't remember a lot of cautions. And there was not. Uh, 10 in 2021. I'm not going to go through every single year on here to see what the most is. 5 in 2020, so at least in this decade, the 2020s, there's a good chance that we end up having the most yellows at Daytona in at least 5 years in tonight's race for this Truck Series event. 7. I think I'm going to continue to go through this when I play the broadcast on the next time, and I'll find the answer for you guys if Fox doesn't already have it for us. I'm back to 2016 right now, and the most would have been 2019 where there was 11. 15 more years to try to fact check through this.
I hope I could do just that for you guys, but man, that thing is very loose.
Ankrum making his 5th start at Daytona in the Truck Series. He's led laps every time.
Wow.
He's a cowboy.
The cattle,
got a bit of a bucking bronc out there tonight at times in the draft, right?
the cattle farmer from California, living in Statesville, North Carolina, running a cattle farm.
We know we're going to run at least one more lap. 6 to go now, so if they get the 1 to go next time, then they'll have 4 laps to decide this stage.
Matt Mills, we saw the problems early with that truck.
And they had a penalty for improper driver assist, so he will have to come from the tail on the restart.
Describe what that means.
I've given all I know. Maybe we could go next door and get some help from our friends at NASCAR.
Improper driver assist.
They just give me short sentences, you know? Now, see, I looked at you when I said that, and I was waiting for you to jump in and give us more.
I'll tell you what, let's do, Adam. Let's go to break, and I'm going to get my rule book out and tell you exactly what he did.
And when we return, inside of 5 laps to go, stage 2.
All right, so I just got done looking at every single truck race that has happened at Daytona. Again, this is the 25th consecutive year. Most cautions in a single Daytona truck race is 11. That was in 2019. 55 laps ran under caution, so there were more caution laps than green flag laps in that race, considering the scheduled distance was 100. Average race speed pretty slow, considering it's a super speedway tonight with the amount of cautions we've seen already, 107.9. That'll continue to drop if we see more cautions throughout the rest of this one. If we get longer green flag runs, obviously it'll start to go back up a little bit as well. We're already guaranteed to see just as many cautions in this race as what we had 2 years ago in 2022. Once we get to lap 40, get that stage yellow, we're obviously going to get a restart before that. So, yeah, that's what the record is. We're on pace. I don't want to see that record broken because the longer this race takes, the longer the night's going to be, considering we still have one more race left after this. I'll be here. It might be, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't think it'll be that late. The ARCA race is only 80 laps. Although that can be a wreck fest too. Although last year's ARCA race was relatively clean by ARCA standards. I don't remember there being that many yellows, so hopefully that's the case again. Looking at the radar for tomorrow's Xfinity race shows rain all day. Yeah, for tomorrow and Sunday, unfortunately. Drag racing and random animations. Thanks for tuning in. Sure to hit that like button if you guys haven't done so yet. Subscribe once again for more daily NASCAR content. Up to 65 likes on the stream already. Appreciate that. So 65 likes on the stream. Don't count stage yellows. I used to not do that, but just by trying to be factual with these live commentary streams, I have to count them. I just say it's not an incidental caution. But neither are debris cautions technically too. And we've had one debris yellow and one stage caution. So we've only had 2 cautions per incident of the 4 we've had. The last 2 was a stage yellow and that debris in turn 3 from Stuart Friesen. Still have 30 trucks on the lead lap yet. And 31 on track. Keith McGee still chugging along, is 2 laps down. So he'll be the free pass truck, assuming he's not involved in the next incident or at the end of the stage, which is coming shortly. Looks like they're still under caution. I think they just added another lap of yellow, considering they're already double file, just getting through the tri-oval right now. And we're going to have 3 laps or less to go in this stage when we get back to racing.
Pace vehicle.
Had a 1-lap run to finish stage 1. Going to have 3 laps on the board as we resume here in stage 2 to finish things off. And I would say this is going to be a pretty good little finish.
Yes, it is.
It's going to be wild. We know that. A couple of guys up in front that are running low on fuel. If one of those things were to stumble, that could cause a heck of a mess.
I would say all these caution laps, though, have gone a long way in ensuring that they can make it all the way and be fine to come back and make their pit stop. Christian Eckes inside of row 2.
Man, I am so selfish when it comes to this stuff, man. I know what you wanted to do, but you can't do that. Just be smart, so just be smart. He's a good player here.
He's saying he wants to win.
Yeah, he's selfish.
He wants
and he's supposed to be selfish.
But they're saying maybe help your teammate. See if you can push somebody along.
We did media day for the Daytona 500 a couple days ago, Larry Mack and I. And he reminded Denny, next gen car, maybe your stats at the super speedways haven't been as good. Denny said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be more selfish. You have to be selfish to win in this format, right?
Got a good glimpse at Charles Denight, crew chief for Christian Eckes, 4-time winner last year in the Truck Series. And yes, you have to be selfish.
Thank you for that. I thought you were just ignoring me.
No. Oh, no, never.
No, we're a team.
You might be selfish at the end a little bit, but
A little bit of a breeze. Shire fleet floated through the area. Just heavy mist. Hopefully that'll go away.
we're still scheduled to get this restart. Lights still off the pace vehicle.
Hey, real quick on Matt Mills, they had the improper driver assist. Someone came over to service the driver, also made an adjustment on the truck. That's a no-no, so that's what that penalty was, wanted to clean that up.
So Matt didn't do anything wrong.
Matt didn't do anything.
I thought he was trying to assist. I was figuring out what the heck was he doing.
3 to go, stage 2.
All right, getting back to racing here. Pace truck is on pit road. Tyler Ankrum, Ben Rhodes on the front row for the restart. Ankrum on the inside, Rhodes on the outside. Green flag back in the air. And not a huge bump draft from Corey LaJoie to the back of the 99 on the outside lane. They're moving backwards already. Front 2 trucks on the bottom are clear. Craftsman in third, almost clear, but now he is. So 3 trucks clear on the double yellow line. There's still about 6 trucks in the outside right now. Quite a few hanging back just a little bit late in this stage. Not going to try to fight for those stage points, whether that be drivers who are part-time or just drivers who don't want to get caught up in an incident, which we have seen a couple of them already here today. Ankrum continues to lead the way as the field gets up to speed off turn 4. 2 laps to go. Stage 2. This time by, and Daniel Dye has another loose moment off turn 4 on that inside lane where he nearly makes contact with Ben Rhodes, who leads the outside lane still. Getting pushed in the tri-oval by Corey LaJoie. Those two have been fairly stable. I like those 2 trucks that are leading the outside. The problem is they just don't have the numbers the inside does, and they continue to lose a little bit of ground. Side draft in the 43. Daniel Dye not as loose that time off turn 2. Craftsman going to move up in front of his teammate, Ben Rhodes, on the back straightaway, and cautions out further back in the field. Not on camera right now, but we are under caution, and this will end stage 2 prematurely.
Ankrum is leading and trying to win stage 2 for a second straight season here at Daytona.
That's an interesting stat, Adam. That kid can get it done on the big tracks.
You know now the rule is the end of the second stage or halfway, whichever comes first, would make it an official race. We don't need to run but just a couple laps under caution here, and we would have an official race. But boy, I kept checking the weather and the radar, and I never saw this coming for sure.
This is going to go away. We're going to keep racing.
And remember, if these trucks stay out, running under caution to try to keep the track as dry as you can, those 2 trucks running 1-2 have not been to pit road yet for fuel.
And the first cat that has is that bright yellow truck of Matt Craftsman. He might be thinking,
Looks like raindrops in turns 1 and 2. The reason for the caution coming out before the end of the stage is a couple laps early. Again, to make this race official, we do have to get just a couple laps. It was only a 13% chance of rain at the start of this race, so I don't know if it's just a pop-up shower at Daytona. I'm going to check the radar real quick, and then I'll get to that Super Chat question here in a second. Honestly, I have no clue where it came from. There's nothing on the radar currently that is showing rain, and it's showing at Daytona Beach as we speak 2% chance of rain. So yeah, I don't know where the raindrops are exactly coming from, but it is currently raining, at least in turns 1 and 2 at Daytona. And they're bringing everybody to pit road this time. We'll officially be at the stage end when they cross the start-finish line. So if for some reason it starts downpouring, which I doubt it, we will see this race become official. So your Stage 2 results would look like this. Tyler Ankrum wins Stage 2, gets a playoff point, 10 regular season points. Christian Eck is second, Matt Crafton third, Daniel Dye fourth. Ben Rhodes in fifth, Ty Majeski sixth, Corey LaJoie seventh, Grant Enfinger eighth, Nick Sanchez ninth, and Corey Heim rounds out the top 10. And already kind of a long race to get through the first 40 laps with the plethora of cautions that we've had. Got a quick pop-up rain shower, it looks like, in turns 1 and 2. Yeah, there's no rain on the radar. I just looked on the Weather Channel. I don't know where the rain's coming from. Yeah, maybe it's an overheating radiator. Yeah, maybe that's all it is. I don't know. They don't have the covers on the car, so that's... Oh, yeah, well, it is definitely raining at Daytona. I really have no clue where this came from. Hopefully we don't lose the racetrack. Yeah, well, this is going to make this night even longer. As if we already weren't going to have a long night. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Angry Birds... Red Angry Birds, thanks for tuning in. I'll get to that Super Chat question, by the way, that I saw a little bit ago. Wanted to wait till we got to the end of Stage 2. Rev Rashim Hall Stewart, thanks for the $2 Super Chat. He asked me, what do I think the best Daytona 500 ever is? Well, it's tough for me to narrow it down to one. And I'm going to go off of Daytona 500s I have watched. So, there may be better ones from... pre-1999 specifically. And I saw you mention something about 1998 was the best ever. I have rewatched the 98 500. I'm going to give you my top 4. I'll give you my Mount Rushmore of Daytona 500s. I do like 1999. Very close to that. If you have not watched the 1999 Daytona 500, especially the last 15 to 20 laps that race, pandemonium. Jeff Gordon passes 3 wide for the lead on the backstretch on the apron, almost hits a slow, I can't remember who it was that was on the apron, that was very slow trying to get to pit road, and he almost hits him, and he kind of cuts up in front of Rusty Wallace and Jeremy Mayfield to take the lead with less than 10 laps to go. Crazy situation. Then you had, of course, Earnhardt coming up from the back half of the top 10 during that whole transition of battling for the lead as well. He got to Gordon, and they were nose to tail. He was trying to take the air off the rear spoiler, get him a little loose, get underneath him, and go for back-to-back 500s. Couldn't quite get there. Gordon won, but I definitely would throw that as one of my favorite Daytona 500s I've rewatched. Dale Jarrett ended up on his lid in that race in the big one. Not that I don't want to add Rex into the spectacle of the race. I'm just stating that as a fact. During the big one there, but yeah, I definitely like that one. That's up there on my list. The year, whenever there's a year Ryan Blaney's going to win a Daytona 500, as good as he is on super speedways, I would imagine that it'll happen at some point in time. I'm probably going to end up throwing that as a biased pick to get on there. He was so close in 2020. Obviously the Newman wreck there, it was a great race. That definitely took it down a notch, obviously. After the fact, knowing he's okay, I mean, it's an honorable mention, but I'm not going to put it on the list. I think 2007, I think that's an easy one to go in the Mount Rushmore of Daytona 500s for me personally. So 1999, 2007, classic side-by-side finish. Mark got loose, it's Harvick. Yeah, and Boyer on his lid. It's just an iconic finish of a race in general right there. I would put 2007 in that list. Kevin Harvick's only Daytona 500 win. Tony Stewart, Kurt Busch dominated that race, and the two best cars took each other out with about 40 laps to go or so, and then all heck broke loose after that. It was mostly calm single file race until the Stewart Kurt Busch incident, and then the last like 30 plus laps of that thing, it was wild, 3-4 wide, guys on the edge of control really. There were a few cautions in the final 20 laps of the race, but it didn't get too out of hand, and obviously ended up having a classic finish. Two more that I would have to add on to there. I'm going to throw 2016 on there too, just because it was probably one of the best finishes of the 500. I like a clean race too. Not everybody necessarily, agrees when it comes to super speedways for whatever reason, but I'm a pure racing fan, and the racing in that race, 2-3 wide all day long, and they didn't wreck. I would probably put that up there. Side-by-side finish, Hamlin, Truex. If I'm not mistaken, closest finish in Daytona 500 history. I think that was slightly closer than the Harvick and Martin finish by margin of victory. So, yeah, that's probably going to go up there too. 2015 was really good, but it ended under yellow. They had a caution on the final lap of the race, but the field was gridlocked 3x3x3 for like 20 laps. And then they had a caution with about 4 or 5 laps to go at the back of the pack. And then they ended up having a overtime restart. And then they got to the white flag. Caution came out. Joey Logano ended up going on to win. So I'm not going to put that on there just because it ended under yellow. And if that race would have ended green the way things were going for the 20 to 25 laps leading up to it, I'd probably throw it on there, but I'm not going to. Oh, man, what would be the other one to throw on there? Another honorable mention, it's not a Daytona 500, but I would definitely throw in my Daytona Mount Rushmore of Cup Series races there. I would throw the 2001 Pepsi 400 on there, but you asked specifically Daytona 500, so I can't put that on the list. But that one, I get chills every time I rewatch that. If you don't, then you're not sane. So there's that. But man, what other race should I put on there? 2010 was really, really good. 2010's up there. I think, and this is going to be very biased. I know the race itself probably shouldn't be, on the Mount Rushmore, at least of races I've seen. The only Daytona 500 I've ever seen in person, 2022. Just the overall experience. Literally, like, I mean, everybody was standing for, like, the last, 20 to 30 laps of the race. You don't see that if you're used to going to NASCAR races. You don't see fans standing until like the final lap or two of the race. Daytona 500, I would imagine it's probably an annual thing. Everybody starts standing with like 30 to go. And Ryan Blaney came close in that one. His teammate Austin Cindric ended up getting the win. The race itself, like I said, I wouldn't put necessarily in my Mount Rushmore. But if you're asking me, and I'm going biased here, I have to put that on there. It's the only Daytona 500 I've ever been to. I definitely plan on going back at some point in time, but it's well worth the experience. The overall atmosphere that whole day at the racetrack was insane as it was. And then the race was a good race. It wasn't a bad race by any means. It was a good race, and it was not my first super speedway race I'd ever been to in person. I've been to Talladega a couple times before that, but that was the first Daytona 500. Then you add to the fact it was the first race with the next-gen car, so it was a monumental race as it is there, not counting the clash that was ran a couple of weeks before that. So that's kind of my top four right there, 1999, 2007, 2016, and 2022. 500 goes back to 1959. Somebody said 1963, 1967. We don't have the ability to be able to go back and watch those races from start to finish, so I don't know if I could agree with you on that one. The worst in history, 2000. 2013 was close and was practically a carbon copy of that, but 2000 was definitely the worst Daytona 500 I've ever. I'm surprised I even went back and rewatched that race, to be completely honest. I missed the Throwback Thursday streams we had on the channel, but unfortunately during the off season, I wanted to bring them back again, and because of the, I don't know how many of you are aware of this or not, but the copyright issues on YouTube became a lot more strict. So that's why I didn't end up coming back with the Throwback Thursday streams like I had hoped for. Because I didn't want to risk getting copyrighted every single Thursday going forward. Because they were copywriting like pretty much all the other ones from the year before that we ended up doing. So that's unfortunate. We went back and watched a lot of Daytona 500s leading up to the 500 last season. So we couldn't have as much of a build-up for it this year, but worst crash in history, Daytona 500. I mean, 2001. It claimed the life of Dale Earnhardt, unfortunately. So you'd have to say that was the worst. The worst looking crash, because by way of, like, crashes itself, I mean, yeah, it was a hard impact, but, like, the wreck that even Blaney had, the duel the other night, by way of impact was pretty much identical to Dale Sr.'s crash in the middle of turns 3 and 4, and probably the speeds were actually higher in the tri-oval than what they would have been in the middle of 3 and 4. Obviously, safer barrier and the technology of the race cars, Blaney A-OK. Checked and released from the infield care center in less than 20 minutes after the incident. So, by way of just the outcome of it, that's definitely the worst crash, and that's almost not debatable. As far as the worst looking crash, Daytona 500 history, that same race, Tony Stewart had a gnarly flip in 01. Ryan Newman would probably have to be the next one, I think. By way of how bad the wreck itself looked, worst crash in Daytona 500 history would be Ryan Newman in 2020. Not the 2003 wreck, the 2020 wreck. That was scary. I remember just scrolling through it. This was just before I had the YouTube channel. I didn't start the channel until a little bit later that season, and yeah, that was a well, I had the YouTube channel. I wasn't doing live commentary. I didn't start doing this, full time until last year, but yeah, I was on like Twitter just refreshing every NASCAR news outlet, every NASCAR insider outlet I possibly could for like 2 to 3 hours until got the word that he was in critical but non-life-threatening condition. And I was like, okay, I can go to sleep now because that race already got done pretty late. I had a buddy of mine over at my house watching that race, introducing him into NASCAR because he had off of work that Monday. And it got moved back, so he ended up coming over. I was like, yeah, come over, whatever. And then that was his first Daytona 500 he had ever watched in person. That is, the race itself was good leading up to it, but that's a scary way to finish off the. I don't think he really got the magnitude of, like, is he okay or whatever, because it's kind of something, new, for him. I was definitely more terrified than he was, I feel, just the way they went off the air. I'm like, this is not good, but yeah, it ended up. Austin Dillon. Yeah, Dillon's looked worse. If you're looking at Daytona wrecks, I would probably put the Austin Dillon one actually on there over Jeff Bodine would probably be the worst wreck looking at Daytona. I thought he was asking Daytona 500, so that's why I said Ryan Newman. Yeah, Jeff Bodine's was probably worse. Bobby Allison. I think you're thinking of Talladega if you're thinking about the catch fence incident in 87. Austin Dillon, I actually fell asleep before that happened. Got some trucks on pit road. I'll play the broadcast for you. We're back under caution.
You look at Ty Majeski there on the right-hand side. It's going to be 4 tires for that team and some fuel on the left-hand side. The 88 of Matt Craftsman. He wanted to make a little bit of adjustment in that truck. He asked for a wedge adjustment. The team said he could not make that happen, but did have the track bar adjustment. Also some air pressure pressure for some issues with the splitter. Regan?
Tyler Ingram finally getting the adjustments for the loose truck that he wants. They took 4 tires and made those adjustments in the 19 of Christian Eckes. No complaints. He's just ready to go still.
Race off pit road is big here because you take control of this race for the final stage.
I don't know if I want to.
So, again, we are back under caution flag period here. Brief red flag for rain. We did not lose the racetrack, and we should get back to racing here very shortly. Quick pop-up shower in turns 1 and 2. Just a 7-minute, 10-second red flag. It was actually shorter than the red flag we had for the big one in the dual race last night at Daytona, the second duel. That crash on the front stretch, that red flag was timed out at just over 8 minutes. Yeah, that Austin Dillon wreck, I fell asleep at some point in the race. Can't remember, but I woke up on my bed. And when I woke up, I kid you not, the wreck just happened. And Dale Jr.'s pit crew was running to Austin Dillon's race car. And Dillon's car was just absolutely mangled. And it was sitting upside down. I woke up to just them running to his car. That's what I woke up to. I missed the crash live as it happened. But I woke up within like 10 seconds after it happening. I was just like, what's going on right now? And they didn't show a replay, you know, for like 5 to 10 minutes because they wanted to make sure he was okay and stuff, obviously. So I was just like sitting there for like 10 minutes, like, what happened? Like, I just woke up, this guy may be dead, and I don't even know what happened. That was my recollection of the Austin Dillon incident. I had to, obviously, you know, I stayed up and watched the rest of the telecast, you know, when it happened because it got done at like 2 in the morning. It was a late night. They had a rain delay earlier in the evening. And again, this was well before I had the YouTube channel. 2015, obviously. I was still in high school. But yeah, they. I was like, what the heck? that is definitely one of the breathtaking, like, wake up from a deep sleep moment I think I've ever had in my life. It's the equivalent to, like, if you're just in a deep sleep and somebody just comes up and startles you in your sleep, like, and you just wake up and your breath is taken away. Like, it was the equivalent of that. Survived that house. Not just that he survived it, the fact that he was out of the car within minutes after it happened. With no injuries. That's insane. Jeff Burton led every lap of a cup race at New Hampshire. Yeah, the only cup race at New Hampshire they had restrictor plates. That's probably worse than the 2000 Daytona 500, but the I was asked what was the worst 500 in history, and that I would probably say 2000. Unfortunately, I think that was the same year as the Burton deal, or was that 2001 with Burton? I think it was 2000. It was the second New Hampshire race in 2000. David Watkins, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for everybody staying through in this rain delay as well. Get back to green flag racing here very shortly. Up to 81 likes on the stream right now, by the way. We're almost to our goal of 100. We're not even halfway through this race with the brief red flag we had and the amount of cautions we've had up to this point in this race as well. We've already gone over an hour, and hopefully we get quite a bit of green flag racing in to kind of speed things up a little bit because we still have another race coming up, an 80-lap, 200-mile ARCA Menards Series race at Daytona still to come tonight on the channel following the conclusion of this race. That will be on a separate stream. It will not be this stream. It'll be a separate stream, so I'm going to have to end this, and then you're going to have to go to another stream that I already have up and available for you guys, so it should be easy to find. But hit that notification bell if you haven't yet, so that way when the stream does go live, you guys won't miss it.
International Speedway. And if the second half of this race is anything like the first, we're in for a real treat because it's been entertaining to say the least. A little bit of everything so far.
Looks like some work on the roof flaps. Maybe.
Or the antenna, maybe the radio antenna?
Yeah, maybe that's it. Yes, that is what they were doing. Must have had a radio communication issue.
You certainly want to be able to hear your spotter here.
What about the truck running third on the inside lane there? Stuart Friesen, I talk about the Northeast Modified Racer, dirt modified. His truck's all dinged up, and he's in the top 5, getting ready to restart this race.
He's one of the 4 trucks running up front right now that did not pit at the end of the stage.
Oh, Ty Majeski had a penalty over the wall too soon.
You can see that right there.
They were all over the wall too soon.
Then he left. But he started over the wall. You can't do that.
Yeah, his foot was on pit road. You only get 1 pit box.
I think there were 2 crew members.
Yeah, it looked like
We
it was.
have a officiating crew that studies all the data that happens on pit road and then makes those calls. So, and there's no hiding from that video for sure.
Majeski starts on the pole, got a ton of stage points.
Gene
which
Huddleston,
helps
thanks for
should he
tuning
have
in.
some kind of an issue here, restarting 19th, because he could very well be in the middle of the mess as we hit.
Pace truck back on pit road, and after a lengthy caution with the brief rain delay, we are back to racing here tonight at Daytona. Green flag in the air. Brett Holmes, the leader on the restart, after going fuel only to leapfrog a ton of positions there of those that pitted. Your stage winners tonight, Johnny Sauter won stage 1, and stage 2 was won by the 18 of Tyler Ankrum. Holmes leading the way. Johnny Sauter back up inside the top 3 on this restart again. He's second truck in line on the bottom, and Tanner Gray, the first truck in line on the outside, getting pushed by the 77 of Chase Purdy. Purdy in the 4 truck all last season with KBM. Gray controlling the lanes as they are up to speed through the tri-oval now with 55 laps to go in the season opener for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Quite a few trucks still in this race. 30 of them on the lead lap, 31 still in it. Gap between 1st and 14th at the line that last time, half a second. There are only 14 trucks in this lead pack, and then Tyler Ankrum in 15th is about 0.7 to 0.8 of a second off of where Parsons is at. So you got a 14-pack truck leading the way, and then there's a bit of a separation there between pretty much about 15th through 30th. Top 4 trucks, single file. A lot of lane changing going on, and almost getting right hooked into the wall was Tanner Gray after a big push from Purdy. Good save. Just barely kept it off the wall and definitely getting shuffled out of that second lane, and we're under caution again. And again it is Keith McGee in the 27 who has slammed a wall hard. Severe damage to the front of that race truck.
Keith had been in an accident earlier.
Looks like a single truck incident.
3rd incident for McGee in this race.
See Keith.
He will not continue after this one.
Getting the net down. We got to come fix this, Phil.
Yeah, that's a little bit too much, I think.
Or do we? He's running
Still
fourth.
running 4th. Yeah, hasn't lost any ground.
Safety team there to check on Keith.
Already made contact, it looks like, with a wall. He's going to end up in the grass of the tri-oval.
Wow, that's a hard hit, Phil.
Yeah, and so many times we saw it earlier. When you have some damage from a previous wreck, you're going to get tire rubs and flat tires. I'm not sure that was the case for Keith. And you're going to get some flapping.
Yes. Look at the way the front end's caved in there, too. It's amazing he's able to keep it up in that front pack.
A couple of laps shy of the halfway point. We'll come back after a moment on FS1.
Under caution for the 6th time already in the first half of this Truck Series race, on pace for potentially the most cautions in a single truck race at Daytona. The record is 11 in 2019 that we fact-checked a little earlier on the stream. And again, knowing that potential overtimes could be at play, there's a good chance we end up breaking that record with the pace we have had so far. I don't think we've had a green flag run longer than 5 or 6 laps in the first half of this one so far. Not a lot of racing, quite a bit of wrecking. Only one incident that was involved with more than 2 trucks. A lot of single truck and 2 truck incidents or debris. I mean, we've had a couple debris cautions, parts and pieces flying off, mainly from that first wreck back at lap 6 where there were a dozen trucks involved. Only 5 of them actually DNF'd from that incident. But under caution once again. And we are up to 83 likes on the stream now. Just over 100 people concurrently watching. And right at about 2,500 likes, so appreciate that. Or not 2,500 likes, 2,500 views. 2,500 likes would be insane. That would definitely be a new record on the channel. I don't think we've had more than 300 for a single live stream yet. Maybe Sunday. Well, more than likely it won't be Sunday because the 500's more than likely looking like it's going to be rain on Monday. But whenever they run the Daytona 500, maybe we break the record for the most likes on a stream. I don't know what the most for a truck race is. I could probably go back and look at it. I'll wait till the broadcast comes back on so you can listen to that. Your current top 10 right now under the caution. Brett Holmes is in the race lead. Johnny Sauter second. Bailey Curry third. Stuart Friesen fourth. Jack Wood fifth. Taylor Gray in 6th, Matt Kraft in 7th, Chase Purdy in 8th, Tanner Gray 9th, and Christian Eckes is in 10th. Average race speed now has dropped below 100 miles per hour, 99.52. And it has taken us an hour and 18 minutes plus to run 48 of 100 laps. We're on pace. This race could take 3 hours. That's not even counting the 7-minute rain delay that we ended up having, too. We're at an hour and 25 minutes since the drop of the green flag. I'll add the extra 7 minutes onto where we're at right now. We're at almost an hour and a half through the first half. Like, the Daytona 500 takes 3 to 3.5 hours to run. This truck race is half the distance, and it's going to take almost as long as it would take the race on Monday, Sunday or Monday, whenever we have it. That's sad. I think that Truck Series Championship race last year at Phoenix that ended up going like 4 overtimes, that race was almost 3 hours, and I know the Cup race was under 3. It was almost the same amount of time to run the truck race as what it was to run the Cup Series Championship race, and it was half the distance, so 150 miles in the truck race, and it was 312 in the Cup side. It's sad that the Truck Series races are longer than the Xfinity Series races, and they're not even the same length majority out of the season. Jimmy Butler, thanks for tuning in. Not the basketball player Jimmy Butler, at least I probably think it's not. Linda Bollinger, thanks for tuning in. Pulling for Johnny Sauter. iRacing 413, also pulling for Sauter. Usually close the polls at the end of Stage 2 for who you think will win this race. Not putting them in the chat this season so you have more time to vote. Earlier during the race day, you can go in the community tab. Every race day for all 3 series, I will have a poll up for you guys to vote for who you think will win the race. I could actually add an extra option in there too, so that's part of the reason why I am going to start doing it there now. We'll close the poll. So 57 votes were casted earlier today, maybe partly during the race. I just deleted it. Oh my goodness. Well, I saw somebody other than Corey LaJoie, Johnny Sauter. Who else was on that list? I can't believe I just deleted it. I deleted it as I was reading it. I did not mean to do that. Who did I have on there? I know Corey LaJoie was on there. Johnny Sauter was on there. I think Nick Sanchez and who else started towards the front? Just looking at the names. Probably Ty Majeski. I think it was Majeski, Sanchez, Sauter, and LaJoie. And you guys thought that somebody other than those 4 drivers were going to win this race tonight. So we'll see if that will be correct. It was a fairly close poll. I think LaJoie was only 2% behind the other on that poll. And I also believe that Majeski was pretty high up on that list as well. Currently, Brett Holmes is leading, which is somebody other than those four, so we'll see if you guys are correct. And trying to collectively predict the winner of this race. Based off of speed alone, I did end up taking Johnny Sauter in this one, in the pre-race. Fastest in practice, qualified second, and he has won multiple times in this very race at Daytona.
He's got his work cut out for him. We saw how bad it was handling up front. We'll see how he's going to be in traffic. Amanda?
Just heard quickly there, you saw the 98 back at the pit box. They wanted to come in for a little more fuel.
Yeah, not a bad plan to top off, but with 50 laps to go, we know that these trucks can go 40 laps. We saw a couple trucks do that, Ankrum and Eckes. That's with about half of those laps being run under caution.
Another truck on pit road, Matt Mills, as they continue to try to repair the damage done in the first couple of laps of this race. There you see Ankrum back in the 12th position on this restart. Corey Heim is in 11th in the 11 truck. He's been really fast. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him fight his way to the front. See if we can see Keith hit. Wow, something just broke on that truck.
Had Greg on the right front of that truck and just turned him straight into the outside. Fortunately, safer barrier.
Yeah. We saw Ryan Blaney have a heck of a crash last night and walk away from it. Safer barriers, in my opinion, the biggest safety implementation we've ever seen in NASCAR. NASCAR continues to work on the cars and trucks, and safety's always been a moving target, but I'm really thankful to see that safer barrier there for Keith to bounce off of.
Going to restart with 49 to go. Holmes goes in the outside lane, inside Johnny Sauter. Sauter's got his teammate Bailey Curry right behind him.
And Stuart Friesen elected not to come fix that left front. He's going to stay on the track and push Bailey.
Green flag back in the air, back with Brett Holmes and Johnny Sauter in the front row once again. Lap 52, 49 to go at Daytona. Get that leaderboard back up for you guys. Field rumbles into turn one. Big lead for Johnny Sauter on the bottom lane right now. He's about 2 truck lengths ahead of the field off of turn 2. They're going to be getting a big run at him down the back straightaway. And he will not go up to try to block the outside lane of Brett Holmes. He will stay true to the bottom. Holmes will pull alongside Sauter into turn 3. 2x2 through the field. We saw 3 wide in the opening couple laps of the race before that incident on the back straightaway at lap 6. We haven't really seen any 3 wide racing since then, despite the fact we still have quite a few trucks in this one. At the start-finish line this time by the top 22, separated by just 0.9 of a second. Ty Majeski in that 22nd place position. Had a penalty during the stage 2 break, during that pit stop that took place during the stage 2 break, as he had his crew members, actually it looked like there were 2 crew members that were over the wall too soon. And now there's a third lane forming, and it's being led by the lone Cup Series regular in the field today, Corey LaJoie, and he's got a head of steam on the back straightaway. Look at LaJoie go into turn 3. It looks like Ben Rhodes is behind him. Those two were working well together back at stage 2, and now they're 3x3, pretty much all the way through the field all of a sudden, off of turn 4, outside of the lone race leader at the front of the field of Brett Holmes. It got dicey in a hurry, and with the lack of handling these trucks have had, things are definitely shaking up, and this may be very treacherous for a lot of these young drivers in the field that maybe don't have a good handle of their truck even still to this point. Corey LaJoie has gotten all the way up alongside race leader Brett Holmes. LaJoie passed about 7 or 8 rows of race trucks on the back straightaway that last time by. He's going to be pushed down into the middle groove now, and Ben Rhodes is going to take over the new lead on the third lane on the outside. Jumps down into the second groove. And LaJoie goes from about side by side for the lead back to about 8th or 9th in the span of a half a lap. And all of a sudden, he's now the 6th truck in line on the bottom of the racetrack, and the top 4 on the inside lane are clear of the 2 rows above him. little room for error, especially when you're 3 wide at Daytona. This is a lot more narrow of a racetrack than Talladega. And we've seen handling become more and more a factor year over year at this racetrack as it begins to age. It's not quite where it was, obviously, through the 2000s, but I could see within 5 to 8 years it getting to that point again. We've seen these trucks obviously already have a huge handling issue throughout the course of the night. We've seen it even in the Cup Series in both races at Daytona last year as well, that vehicles were just moving around a little bit more, dancing quite a bit in the middle of the corners as the bumps become more relevant again by the year.
Dynamically challenged. Look at that. That's amazing. He will not be able to lead a line, but he's following pretty nicely. Ooh, look at that shiny right rear, Phil. A little bit of tire rub there. Hope that thing doesn't go flat. You can tell how much it's rubbing.
Grant Enfinger, the 9. Surfacing at the front behind Corey LaJoie. He's second in that outside lane.
Ben Rhodes third in that outside line.
44 laps to go. We'll take you side by side with Brett Holmes leading the way at Daytona.
Side-by-side commercial break on FS1. We'll go through the full field running order rundown for the first time today, now that we actually have some green flag laps underneath us to be able to do it. Brett Holmes is your race leader. Johnny Sauter is currently second. Bailey Curry third. Taylor Gray fourth. And Jack Wood rounds out the top 5. First time he has cracked the top 5 tonight. Corey LaJoie in 6th. Grant Enfinger 7th. Stuart Friesen 8th. Ben Rhodes 9th. And Matt Crafton in 10th. Nick Sanchez in 11th. Christian Eck is 12th. Daniel Dye 13th. Corey Heim 14th. Chase Purdy 15th. Tony Breidinger in 16th. Tanner Gray 17th. Tyler Ankrum 18th. Dean Thompson 19th. And Raja Caruth is 20th. Stephen Parsons in 21st. 22nd is Corey Roper. Ty Majeski 23rd. 24th for Brian Dozit. Mason Massey 25th. Timmy Hill 26th. Cody Rohrball 27th. Jason White 28th. Spencer Boyd 29th. And the last truck in the lead lap is Matt Mills in 30th. Keith McGee on back out of the race, so 6 trucks have retired. Keith McGee with a 31st place finish tonight. Lawless Allen 32nd, Lane Riggs 33rd, Jake Garcia 34th, Ty Dillon 35th, and Thad Moffitt in 36th. Looks like we are under caution again during this side-by-side commercial break, so under yellow for the 7th time in the race. Might be debris from Friesen's race truck off that left front that has kind of been flapping in the wind for a little bit. The 41 is also on pit road right now, Bailey Curry. Not sure if maybe he ran over a piece of debris. So it looks like a debris caution bringing out our 7th yellow of the race at lap number 58. And Brett Holmes has a tire coming apart under the yellow. Maybe it was him that brought out the caution. Holmes was up towards the front of the field, if not leading. No damage on the race truck for the most part right now, but that right front tire is definitely flat as he tries to nurse it all the way back around to pit road. He's currently on the apron in turns 3 and 4. Quite a few blown tires in this one. I'd imagine it's mainly from debris that, again, we have seen throughout the course of the night.
About you can be on the front row and still be in the middle of the mess, right?
Yes, the front row's been as scary as the middle of the pack, and it just happened as you didn't miss a thing as we went side by side, and our front trucks crashed.
You could be a leader, right?
Yes,
And get in trouble.
we saw the leader, Tyler Ankrum, several times sideways, and finally, around went Brett Holmes. Look at the block that Johnny throws on Corey LaJoie, and then that gets him squeezed out. And then Holmes down on the bottom of Sauter.
Is Bailey Curry going to come up and give him a bump? That 41 truck.
No, I think he just got loose.
Just got loose, and Bailey Curry goes around as well. Bailey's going to get into the inside safer barrier. Brett Holmes keeps his truck out of the safer barrier. Just got loose up off the corner.
We've seen it repeatedly, and maybe that run that Johnny Sauter had on the outside, he was down a little bit lower on Brett than he was used to.
Just pull that rear end of that truck around.
That's the hardest part of this racetrack when you're on the inside of another truck, is getting off turn 4.
42 to go.
I think we pit, Adam.
I was going to say, what are you thinking here strategy-wise? Because we
like
know we're outside the window, or at least in theory, but we've had so many cautions.
Yeah, most everybody does just that, because if you're counting trends, it's trending to be caution filled. Let's get to pit road and get it done.
Amanda?
You'll see Stewart freezing in his box, and aesthetically, if you look at the front of that truck, they want to make some adjustments there. No concern yet, but just afraid to, fix what might happen later on. 4 tires, there's going to be fuel, and Stewart will be back out. Regan?
45 to Johnny Sauter came to pit road. It was fuel only for him when he got down here. The crew chief, Phil Gould, played it very coy, said, I've got a plan. Didn't announce his plan until right as he entered pit road.
Sauter started on the front row, has led the most laps tonight, 23 out front.
Yeah, they got to work on that. The whole front end's caved in on that tire, and the tire will eventually fail. We saw the right rear was shiny as well. The rub back there, they might ought to go address that as well.
See, Majeski stalls this truck, trying to get out of his pit box. I like the strategy of stopping now, and we've had trucks go about 40 laps towards the end of the race in the past, but remember, prior to last year when we were rain shortened, the previous 4 races all finished in overtime.
By the way, 8 trucks stayed out. We'll reset the running order when we come back. 7th caution of the night for a 2-truck incident coming off of turn 4.
Brett Holmes and Bailey Curry involved in that incident. The first 2 trucks in the inside lane going for a spin simultaneously off the exit of the corner. And I'm sure that first spin probably led to the second one, whether Curry checked up and got hit from behind, or if he maybe got in the back of Holmes, which caused both of them to end up spinning. Regardless of the fact, again, a 2-car spin. I would imagine Curry's going to be able to continue in the race, although he hit the inside retaining wall. It was more with the left rear of his race truck, and I think he should be all right. He scored a lap down right now, but we'll keep an eye on that. Holmes still on the lead lap currently, so 29 trucks remain on the lead lap to this point. Johnny Sauter's led the most laps. He was a Stage 1 winner. 23 laps led for Sauter. Ankrum has led the second most laps after winning Stage 2. He's led 15 tonight. 13 laps led for Holmes, who was involved in that incident. 1 lap led for Grant Enfinger. 1 lap led for Tanner Gray. And the 98 of Ty Majeski from the pole has led 7 laps in today's race. 6 different drivers have led at least 1 lap in the race. And in total, we have had 17 lead changes up to this point, despite the amount of cautions that we have seen. And a lot of those is because of pit stops being taken place for fuel purposes and pit strategy in that way. A lot of fuel-only stops being taken during the caution flag periods of this one. Topping off, especially right now, where if we get quite a few cautions the rest of the way, as things have continued that way all the way throughout the night, this could be the final pit stop of the race. Susan Greenland, thanks for tuning in. Can't hardly wait to see the Daytona 500. Me neither. I guarantee you it'll be a much better race than what we are seeing here tonight, or lack thereof. A lot of cautions in this one. And that most recent yellow was our 7th of the race. So again, 7 cautions so far in this race. Now that rain caution led into the end of Stage 2, so we're going to see a stage yellow anyway, so I didn't really add an extra caution to this race. And we are sitting at 7 cautions so far. The record is 11, and we still have 40 laps to go. Average race speed back up over 100 miles per hour. We got a few extra green flag laps, and that might have been the longest green flag run of the day. I think it was only at 6 or 7 laps. 101.27 miles per hour is the current average race speed.
Stayed out. They decided to come down pit road.
Well, I can understand why they came down pit road. I just didn't understand why they didn't pit the lap before that. But now they have 1 more lap of fuel than the trucks that did, obviously.
Yeah, and also, I mean, is it time? Some of them thinking about bailing after watching the first 60 laps of this race, riding the back. I haven't seen any evidence of that, but as you can see, a lot of them aren't doubling up, so that could very well be the case.
But the other thought I had is if you come a lap later you don't come with the entire field, which minimizes your chance of getting banged up when you make that pit stop.
Regan, what do you got on the 9?
Michael, I can tell you the 9 truck of Grant Enfinger was a truck that did not want to do what they did. They were trying to stick to a plan, very frustrated that they didn't come down the first time pit road was open. Now he's in the back. He did not want to ride.
I think they're lined up to ride. What do you think, Phil? Grand stop.
39 laps to go. Johnny Sutter outside of the front row in the restart. Nick Sanchez, the control truck, though, down on the bottom as we're back to racing again at Daytona. Nick Sanchez getting pushed by Taylor Gray in the 17. Matt Crafton, third truck in line on the bottom. More trucks lined up, though, on the outside. Give them to the back straightaway, and they may make some headway. Sauter's had a fast truck to be able to do so. Daniel Dye in line right behind Sauter, waiting to make that push once they get off of turn 2, and here they come. Sauter's fallen to about the third truck in line on the bottom. Make that the fourth truck. The top 3 on the inside are clear. Gray out pushing Sanchez to the lead. Sanchez, this is the first time he's led tonight. He was looking quick trying to lead the outside at moments throughout the course of this race, but now he's got track position for the first time and leads the field. He led quite a few laps in the fall race at Talladega last season for the Craftsman Truck Series. May lead him into having a pretty solid run here today if he can keep that track position from here on out.
3 wide. We saw what happened when Corey LaJoie got something going up there. 3 good trucks right there in line trying to make it work.
You see Ben Rose trying to gain a little bit of momentum. You see that's the 5, Dean Thompson. There's Corey LaJoie in the 7. A little bit of a bump from Dean Thompson to Corey LaJoie. See if Ben can make any ground up in the corner here. A little bit of a separation between LaJoie and Thompson for a moment.
Getting some help there, as you see Christian Eckes, Tyler Ankrum, Jack Wood, all trying to make it work on the outside. Meanwhile, below them, it's bobbling everywhere.
Saw somebody back off the throttle. I saw fire come out the exhaust pipes. Was that Dean Thompson possibly? Notice we still have 37 laps to go.
You wouldn't know it, would you?
Sure wouldn't.
You can see the gap. There are some trucks that have elected to get out of this hornet's nest, and I'm with them.
See a nice push by Corey LaJoie into the back.
Look at Eckes and Rhodes making up ground on that outside lane. Huge rally.
Yeah, the 46 of Johnny Sauter just kind of lost a little bit of momentum, and now he's broken away from the 43 of Daniel Dye.
Look at that. He's loose.
Ooh.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah,
That's debatable.
yeah, I don't like it. He was loose when he was too wide. About lost it there in the middle of that pack.
Jack Wood, Chase Purdy there.
Ben Rhodes to the front of the field. Daniel Dye's been very loose off the exit of turn 4 all day. Had a moment there a couple seconds ago, and now he's in the middle groove, which is probably even worse off than what he would be on the bottom. At least if he was on the bottom, he would just kind of turn left and everybody else could avoid it. But in a situation right now, being in the middle groove, that would not be the case. Hopefully he continues to hold on, and hopefully it doesn't get too big of a push from behind from Corey LaJoie in that middle groove. LaJoie is actually going to hop out of the bottom, or hop out of the middle and hop to the bottom. He'll get around Dye. Dye moves to the inside as well, right behind LaJoie, and fills that hole in front of Matt Crafton. Ben Rhodes, Christian Eckes, Nick Sanchez, Taylor Gray, and Tyler Ankrum round out the top 5 at the start-finish line that time by. 35 laps to go in the Craftsman Truck Series at Daytona. Single file on the inside lane for the front few race trucks. Still 2x2 from really about 4th or 5th on back. They were 3 wide for a brief moment for a couple of laps there, and now the third lane fizzled out quite quickly once they were starting to roll past ahead of the front trucks that were in the middle groove at that time. Now there are even more trucks on the inside lane than what there is on the top side. Tyler Ankrum still trying to lead the charge on the top, but he has a ways to go to try to get back to the front of the field as he has slipped to the back half of the top 10. At the start-finish line that last time by, he was scored 10, so he's got 8 trucks in front of him on the bottom. Again, he is still the lead truck on the outside. Ben Rhodes leads, Christian Eck is second, Nick Sanchez is third, Taylor Gray fourth, Corey LaJoie rounds out the top 5 at the start-finish line that time by. Can Ben Rhodes continue onward? Trying to win yet another race at Daytona in his NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series career. And ThorSport has had a pretty good number here. I mentioned Johnny Sauter had won here a couple times, and that was with ThorSport Racing as well back in the early to mid-2010s. And we have a little NASCAR on Fox Crank It Up for the first time this weekend, so you'll get to listen into that. Oh!
Grab your phone now and get ready to scan the QR code for the Craftsman deal of the race.
Craftsman's back on track.
There's quite a bit of contact during that Crank It Up between Ben Rhodes and Tyler Ankrum, it looked like. Just exiting the tri-oval. Ben Rhodes is coming to pit road. I think he feels he may have a tire going down following that contact because it was just a lap ago and he's the only one coming to pit road. So the driver who was leading just a couple laps ago is now on for an unscheduled pit stop to change the right side tires on that race truck, and hopefully they can get on and off of pit road without losing a lap here. He isn't going to have any more drafting help to try to get back up through the field either, and this is a tough circumstance for Ben Rhodes. New leader, 77, Chase Purdy down the back straightaway, works to the inside of Ankrum. Another loose moment on the outside lane for the 5 of Dean Thompson. Hung out to dry. He's got nobody right behind him. That stacked up the entire middle groove as well, and the front 5 trucks are clear on the bottom again. Eckes moves off the bottom, goes to the outside. He sees Corey LaJoie coming. Eckes is going for the lead, and LaJoie is going to push him. Now, LaJoie's teammate is Chase Purdy, who leads the bottom. LaJoie, again, the second truck on the outside groove. Nick Sanchez is the truck on the inside lane, pushing Purdy at the front of the field. Showing that replay of the contact between Ankrum and Rhodes. Luckily, Rhodes was able to get to pit road that following time by. Again, quite a bit of damage right around the right rear tire on Rhodes' race truck. He is now the last truck on the lead lap. Top 17 trucks separated by 9/10 of a second. Again, mostly 2x2 in that group, and it appears that there are 21 trucks in the lead draft. A couple of them hanging out a couple seconds behind the pack in case we see another incident, as we're down to 28 laps to go, and we've seen a lot of near incidents. The little green flag racing we have seen so far today, this is the longest green flag run of the race so far, as we have eclipsed 11 straight green flag laps. 7 cautions to this point. 4 shy of the race record. That doesn't mean anything, though, considering that overtimes are unlimited, but hopefully we don't need any. And the laps may start to continue to click off pretty quickly if nothing happens. Big moment at the front of the field. One truck in the middle groove and out of the gas. Making contact with another truck off turn 4, and we've got a spin. Ben Rhodes is around. A couple others collected. Rhodes was slow. I think he might have had a tire down again, potentially. Tried to squeeze into the bottom lane. I don't know if he was trying to make his way to pit road or not. And caused a handful of trucks to go sliding off turn 4.
Bail up to the high side and let everybody go under you as he was losing his lap.
And then rely on getting a free pass.
Yes.
Next time. Take your penalty and then rely on that free pass.
We'll have to get a look of what happened.
It popped in halfway in 3 and 4. I started going. I tried to get up out of the way last second. I don't know what to say about that.
Sounds like he agreed with us.
Yeah.
He should have gotten up out of the way. I don't know
He
why.
was trying to. I think he said he popped, so maybe he cut a tire down.
Well, because of the contact, maybe the tire blew out. He was trying to get out of the way.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, you see there, they're beating on the fender.
And it happens so often when you get a flat tire because of a tire rub and you really don't get it pulled out enough or beat out enough and you get another flat.
So Ben, the veteran that he is, was trying to get out of the way and the tire, he says, popped. Yeah, it went.
Yeah, it's gone now, and he's doing all he can do.
Pretty remarkable.
To try to keep that.
That he's hanging on to it right here.
And eventually,
look at it turn sideways.
Luckily, no more trucks were involved than were.
Sure could have been.
Now we ride on board with Ben Rhodes.
Looks like Tony Reininger had a little bit of contact as well.
She got damaged. We mentioned Tanner Gray. That 15 truck has really gotten beaten up in this race.
But he continues to march on. I don't know when.
Look at Corey Hine.
Ty Majeski, both drivers that have had some problems tonight, despite the fact that they've had solid trucks, and they're able to make it through this unscathed.
These caution laps will help those drivers trying to make 40 laps on this run.
That was a fun run. Wasn't a lot of action.
Tonight, we had really developed a rhythm.
Yes, sir.
I think that's the end of the day for Ben.
They knew he was here for sure today.
Yeah, and the contact from Ankrum into the side of Ben, it's just tight racing in the draft. Flattened the tire, and they pitted and changed tires, and then it blew out again.
Ben Rhodes started at the back after making some adjustments to his truck post-qualifying. Drove his way to the front, led 5 laps. 25 remaining at Daytona. Under our 8th caution, our reigning champ cut a tire and lost control.
Tough break for all the innocent bystanders in that wreck after Rhodes had gone a lap down. And unfortunately, again, that tire was flat as he was getting lapped, which is why he was as off pace as he was. The rear view camera that they ended up using during one of the replays, you could hear the tire already kind of running flat and was hitting the back of the race truck. And once it went down enough, obviously ended up losing control, turned down in front of a couple trucks in the middle of the pack. Not as many collected. Luckily, most of the field had already passed him before he had actually lost control of his race truck. But, yep, under caution once again. DJ the Sloth, thanks for tuning in. No, yeah, there was a dog barking. That was not mine either. It was on the Fox camera or whatever. Probably somewhere in the infield, wherever they had that camera located, there was audio of a dog barking. It was not from me. I thought I could hear it too. Why is there a dog at the track? Yeah, I don't know. It had to have been in the infield somewhere, you would imagine. Thinking 5 more cautions. Well, that would more than break the record. We are at 8 right now. 3 more to tie the race record for the season opener at Daytona for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And again, this is the 25th race at Daytona for the trucks. And we have eclipsed the 2-hour mark in another minute to minute and a half of this race. And we still have a quarter of the race to go. Corey LaJoie is currently your race leader at the time of caution. Chase Purdy second. Nick Sanchez third. Christian Eckes in fourth. Taylor Gray fifth. Stephen Parsons sixth. Tyler Ankrum seventh. Jack Wood eighth. Matt Crafton ninth. Daniel Dye currently rounds out the top 10. And we are still sitting with 27 trucks on the lead lap. Rhodes is out of the race now. Matt Mills is going to get the free pass and go from 2 laps down to 1 lap down. We have 29 trucks still on the racetrack. Only 7 have DNF thus far. Average race speed up to 106.68 miles per hour. We'll take a quick ad break. We'll continue our live commentary coverage of the Fresh from Florida 250 at Daytona. We are 5 likes away from our goal of 100 on the stream as well. We are at 95 right now. 95 likes currently. Let's get to 100. If you haven't hit that like button yet, and also subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as we are getting ever so closer to 5,000 subs on the channel.
On the road ahead. Goodyear, more driven. Getting down to it. It's been a long night. Had a weather delay and a whole lot more going on. Let's hear from the champ, Amanda.
One of the things you never want to see is the crew chief of the champ pushing the truck back to the garage. And Rich, you look over what happened in this race, you guys being able to make it up to the front. Describe the disgust that you may have feeling right now.
It's definitely disappointment. I feel like we had a great F-150 ranch fuel truck, and we showed how fast it was by going from dead last to the front. And I thought we had a chance to win this thing, and people can't hold their line on the outside lane and drove in the right side of us and then cut down the right front tire, and I guess the rest is history.
What are you going to say to Ben?
I'm going to tell him he did a great job, like always, and just we're going to get him at Atlanta.
Thank you.
Ben Rhodes, the defending champ, had 1 DNF a season ago, and he won't finish here tonight, obviously.
Corey LaJoie's been one of the strongest trucks all night long. He's fought his way to the front a couple of times, and here he finds himself on the inside, leading the race, coming to the green here.
23 laps to go. LaJoie inside of Sanchez.
About Chase Purdy, he ended the 2023 season so strong, and here he is fighting for a chance to win at Daytona.
The Chevrolet's lined up on the inside.
Couple of Chevys getting it done at the outside. Christian Eckes, huge push on Nick Sanchez. Taylor Gray comes through and dives to the inside lane.
The inside line looked organized, but they didn't have any momentum when they got down to turn 1.
I think you could give that big push to Christian Eckes, getting a hold to the back of that 2 truck, Nick Sanchez, and catapulting him to the lead. But they're going to catch up to him. You can only get so far ahead, and the draft takes over. Look at Corey LaJoie. He wants to go to the outside. He's going to pick up a push from Chase Purdy, who squeezes in front of Tyler Ankrum.
His teammate said, "I'll go with you, bud."
Now Sanchez is going to move up in front of Eckes.
Man, when you start switching lanes like Sanchez is, that's a risky game. It's all about timing. And you pull down 1 second, a half a second too late, and you'll find yourself spun out.
And we see that all the time in the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series, but these trucks, the closing rate on these trucks is way different than those cars.
Look at Stephen Parsons in the ballpark truck. He's right there with Taylor Gray. Jack Wood behind him. Corey LaJoie up top.
Trying to give Eckes a push, and he's...
Eckes is sideways and turns across the racetrack. Gets nailed from behind by the 45 of Johnny Sauter. Caution is out for the 9th time in this race. A 3-truck incident off turn 4. "21 laps to go at Daytona. Our 9th caution, Eckes, who was on the outside lane, leading the outside lane, nevertheless, inside the top 5. Got loose off turn 4, whether that was from a push or not. We don't know. We've seen a lot of trucks get loose off the exit of turn 4 all night. Dean Thompson collected. A lot of damage, obviously, to the 45 of Sauter. It looks like his day is more than likely going to come to an end. He hit the 19 pretty square in the back bumper after Eckes came sliding down the racetrack. He turned somebody else, and I think it was Thompson. Tony Breidinger with a little bit of damage on the right front of her race truck as well. From the incident, Corey LaJoy was behind the 19 of Eckes in the outside lane. Tough to tell from that camera angle if he was touching him or not. May have been. I can't tell which truck exactly that was that he got into initially there. There was a truck that got a piece of the right front fender pretty much torn off after contact from Eckes. That was the first truck Eckes hit mid-slide. Everybody else evades to the outside as Eckes actually did come back across the racetrack there for a moment. Nobody else hit him, luckily. Waiting to see exactly who this was. It was the 75. Stephen Parsons in the 75 ballpark truck that got clipped in the right front. He's got quite a bit of damage to his race truck. Tough break for him. He was obviously also running in the top 5 with Eckes. A lot of trucks getting loose off turn 4 all day today, and we'll see if that'll continue into the next few races that we still have remaining this weekend. 20 to go.
Right front corner, that truck is gone.
Corey LaJoy in the middle of all that.
Something goes on. I might have think that he was in a bad air spot influence. And the front of the 77 is just like a wedge.
Yeah, I don't think he was on him either. I believe it was just that truck moved up and Christian had to move to the right a bit and then around it went.
Sanchez tonight has led 6, going to be 7 laps when he comes around this time. He leads all winless drivers in trucks in laps led over 300 and counting, and he's not been able to find his way to victory lane. Sauter's led the most laps tonight. Ben Rhodes spent 5 circuits out front. He's with Amanda.
Adam, before he headed into the care center, he said this is the worst possible thing that could happen. And when you look at the valiant effort from yourself and your team tonight, would you say this one was taken from you?
I wouldn't go that far. Nothing's given at Daytona. Just feel embarrassed for the late race, or that late, move that I made to go to the top. I felt the tires start to go down at that point. I was too fast to get to the apron, so I thought I could go to the top and, get up by the wall and not include anybody in the wreck. Feel bad for those that got involved, but it all stems from us leading and the outside cars door slamming us, right? So I don't know what happened from that, but that's what led to this series of unfortunate events. Just hate it for everybody at Range Fuel, Ford, Doorsport Racing. We had a really good showing today, and would love to get up in the victory lane, kick off our season with a good, a good high note, right? I think points are more important than people realize, but most embarrassing was pulling up, trying to salvage it, not involve anybody, and then ends up, getting a lot of people involved. So hate that for everybody. Sorry.
Your crew chief, Richard Lucas, said great job tonight. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, there was, fortunately, great driving by the whole field. When he didn't get to the top, they split him, and only a couple of trucks got a bump in that thing, and so it could have been a lot worse if it weren't for some heads-up driving.
Regan?
Adam, you were mentioning a few moments ago, Nick Sanchez in the laps that he's leading right now. Keep in mind, earlier in the race, caught up in the very first incident, and got to give credit to his crew chief, Bono Mannion. These guys did a wonderful job of orchestrating calmly how to repair the truck, get it repaired as quick as they could so they could get him back into the action with everything the way it needed to be, and it is showing right now. He's got good speed. Nick told me earlier today, his focus this season is stage 3. He does not care about the early parts of the races. He wants to be better at the end. He's got an opportunity to show that right now with where he's running in the lead.
I feel like regardless who wins tonight, we're going to say it was a great comeback because almost every driver has faced some form of adversity. 19 to go. Sanchez, Taylor Gray, LaJoy, Purdy, and Wood, the top 5 under caution.
We'll go through the full field running order with 18 to go under the caution currently as they go to a full screen commercial break on FS1. Nick Sanchez currently a race leader, as you heard from Adam Alexander. Taylor Gray's in second, Corey LaJoy third, Chase Purdy fourth, Jack Wood in fifth, Tyler Ankerman sixth, Matt Crafton seventh, Brett Holmes eighth, Daniel Dye ninth, Ty Majeski is 10th, Roger Carruth in 11th, Grant Enfinger 12th, Corey Roper 13th, Spencer Boyd 14th, Corey Heim 15th, Tanner Gray in 16th, Timmy Hill 17th, Cody Rohrball in 18th, Mason Massey 19th, Stuart Friesen in 20th, Brian Dozit in 21st, Jason White 22nd, Dean Thompson 23rd, Stephen Parsons 24th, Bailey Curry 25th, Tony Breidinger 26th as the last truck on the lead lap. Christian Eck is 1 lap down, still trying to run in 27th. Matt Mills 28th, 2 laps down. Johnny Sauter 3 laps down, maybe out of the race from that incident. He is in 29th. Ben Rhodes will finish 30th as he is out. Keith McGee 31st, Lawless Allen 32nd, Lane Riggs 33rd, 34th for Jake Garcia, Ty Dillon 35th, and Thad Moffitt rounds out the 36 truck field right now. And Johnny Sauter, obviously no chance to win the race anymore after getting caught up in that incident, has led the most laps so far tonight at 24 laps led. He won stage 1. Tyler Ankrum, again, who won stage 2, is currently at 16 laps led in the race, and he is still in the running, currently in 6th. Once again, Nick Sanchez, your race leader. We'll take a quick ad break. You're listening live on KRC to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, fresh from Florida 250 at Daytona. And we do have an ARCA race stream coming up after the conclusion of this race here today. I was hoping around 10:30. It's probably going to be closer to 11 before that thing gets started. By the way, with having 18 laps left in this one. Now, there's no raw feed available like you see here for that race. I will actually have to go to ARCA's home website to pull up a leaderboard, so it's not going to be quite as fancy as this one that we have every single week, but we'll have something for you, at least on the screen in that one, as we will get to watch that. Remember, Shane Van Gisbergen going to be running in that ARCA race later tonight. If you're looking for maybe a spotlight driver to keep an eye on throughout, Shane Van Gisbergen going to be making his super speedway debut in a stock car. So get to watch for that race again coming on after the conclusion of this race, as you're listening live on KRC.
Flag here at Daytona. Craftsman Truck Series opening up 2024. We cleaned up our 9th caution of the night. I look at our top 10. Some great stories up there because there are so many drivers that have never experienced victory lane, and here they are, very much alive late in the going at Daytona.
You see Jack Wood right there up on the top 5. Jack's never had a top 5 before. Brett Holmes in 6th, having great runs.
What about Holmes? He was sliding off the corner, around backwards, was able to save it out of the wall. Matt Crafton, that early wreck, he was involved in it, and still battling for a top 5 finish. Majeski's truck was really fast early. Haven't heard from him lately, but he's surfaced up toward the front again.
A couple of penalties, miscues on pit road that have hurt their track position, but man, always right there.
Of all the veterans out there, Matt Crafton, looking at all this craziness going on, but yet he just keeps his nose stuck right up in it. That's a guy that's got a lot of fight in him right there.
Remember, it wasn't that many years ago that Matt Crafton came off of turn 2 on the last lap with the lead and was upside down by the time he got to the middle of the backstretch.
That's a lasting image when it comes to the trucks at Daytona. Sanchez, LaJoy, side by side for the restart.
That 77 truck that's behind LaJoy has been a strong pusher tonight, and you can see the front two rows are toe-to-toe.
Those are Spire teammates. Spire made the purchase of KBM, Kyle Busch Motorsports, and they've got trucks in the hunt to win it. Sanchez driving for Rev Racing. They're a partner at Spire, and he is out front, getting a push from Taylor Gray.
That's the second restart in a row that Corey LaJoy has not been able to keep pace initially.
Tom Majeski pulls up in front of him, trying to take advantage of that run that he felt like Corey LaJoy was going to make.
Back through the tri-oval. Under green. It's our Craftsman, 15 to go. Brett Holmes hanging tough.
He decides to go to the top side.
Green and white truck moving to the outside lane, as Michael said.
Majeski's gets pushed to the outside now. He's by himself in the third lane in that black truck.
This lead pack fill is getting ready to catch the lapper of Matt Mills, who's reduced speed. He pulls off the racetrack. That's a smart move. Trying to go 3 wide this late in the race with a slow truck could have been disastrous. Whoa, Mills, up high, very, very loose was Holmes. This is so aggressive.
Got trouble again. Tony Breidinger in the 1. The 5 is Dean Thompson. Teammates at Tricon. It produces our 10th caution of the night.
Just kisses the inside safety barrier. See, right front tire is flat on the one of Tony Breidinger.
She's done a great job tonight.
She sure has. She's kept her nose clean. She was involved in a couple scrapes, but not of her doing, certainly.
She's going to race on as well. I think she's going to be able to make repairs to that truck, as is the green machine of Dean Thompson.
Mason Massey in the 0-2. Let's see if we can see what happened. Something happened to Mason Massey, it looks like, and he slows on the racetrack. And Tony and the 5 are running nose to tail, and the 5, I think, gets in the back of Tony, pushes her in to Mason Massey.
What a great job by Stuart Friesen. He had to just patiently sit there and watch those trucks spin and was able to slip through there.
Closing on 10 laps remaining. Under caution one more time for the trucks at Daytona.
Yeah, somebody asked how many trucks are even left in this race. There's still 28 trucks of the 36 that started this race that are in. A lot of trucks have very minimal damage that have been in an incident today because we've only really seen single or 2 truck incidences for pretty much all but 1 caution in this race today. I think there was technically 2 yellows that had more than 2 trucks, which would have been the one between Eckes, Sauter, LaJoy, and LaJoy really wasn't like in the wreck itself. He was the one that was in the back of the 19, which turned him off turn 4 in that outside lane. Again, the 9th caution that we had at lap 78 when Eckes spun into Sauter, and I should say into the side of the 75. Eckes spun into the side of the 75 of Stephen Parsons, and then Sauter piled into the back of the 19. That was a 3-truck incident. Other than that, though, we've seen nothing but 1 and 2 truck incidents all day, if not debris cautions bring out some of the yellows as well. The only wreck that we had more than 3 trucks involved was that first crash back at lap 6, which took 5 trucks out of the race, and there were 12 total that were collected in the incident. That's where a lot of these trucks have minimal damages from that incident for the most part. Everything else that we've seen so far today, again, most of these spins, hardly anybody getting taken out. So although we've had 10 cautions, which is just 1 shy of the race record, we really haven't had, the big one yet. Believe it or not, despite as many yellows as we've seen. And most of these incidences have come in the very back of the pack. I mean, there's been probably 2 of them in total today that have actually been towards the front. But again, they haven't collected anybody other than that first incident. Live commentary tomorrow if there's no Xfinity race. No, it depends. If nothing is scheduled by NASCAR to postpone the race prior to 5 o'clock tomorrow, then or the original start time, unless they move the start time up, if there's a window to get the race in, then obviously I'll stream the race. But if NASCAR already postpones the race before the scheduled start of the Xfinity race tomorrow, then no, there will not be a live stream. Technically, there will be a live stream tomorrow because I guarantee the ARCA race is going to go past midnight. So, with that being said, technically we'll stream into Saturday, but not the way we would probably all think that would happen. Be sure to hit that like button if you guys have not yet on the stream. We're only one like away from our goal of 100. So hit that like button. Subscribe for more daily daily content through the rest of the weekend with our Speed Week coverage. The ARCA race, by the way, will be on FS2. So again, you can listen to the ARCA race on Fox Sports, or watch the race on Fox Sports 2. I will be here to commentate, obviously, that race for you guys. But the ARCA race will be on FS2. It's supposed to be on FS1, but again, it got moved up a day. There's a college basketball game slated right after the truck race tonight on FS1. So FS2 is where you can watch the ARCA race. And that will be following this Truck Series race at Daytona. Not yet gotten the one-to-go signal.
Got involved. You see the damage to the left rear quarter panel of that Gamebridge Chevrolet. Let's see if Michael, see if you can grab him on the radio.
Nick Sanchez, it's Waltrip and the team on the Fox Sports side. How you doing?
Doing good.
What a crazy race it's been, but you find yourself in control here late. How's the truck driving, and can you hang on?
Yeah, I mean, the truck's driving good. I think it's better out front, and yeah, I think we can hopefully hang on. There's been a lot of chaos. We've been included in it, so hopefully we just stay out of it.
Yeah, it's been a crazy race, so hang in there. Just wanted to check in. Thanks for talking with us.
Appreciate it.
That's fun for me. I mean, they're in the heat of the battle, but they always know.
The cucumber.
Yeah, just like I'm his spotter. I said it a moment ago. All these drivers in the top 10 that have never won. You got Sanchez, who told his story. Taylor Gray, the youngest driver in the field, couldn't compete in this race a year ago because he hadn't turned 18, and here he is, second year running for the championship and second on track. He's had an impressive ride tonight. Jack Wood doing a nice job in third.
Jack Wood is doing a great job. Limited schedule here for BMR Racing. That truck doesn't look like it has a mark. Maybe a little bit of a mark on the left front, by the left front headlight, but Jack doing a super job here.
We were giving love earlier to Spire. At that time, Rajah Caruth was not in the top 10. Here he is, the best of the Spire team right now. Fourth, Michael. It's been a great run for Rajah. We know he's got the talent behind the wheel to get to victory lane, and it's really cool to see him pace himself and get to this position. Look at his progression. Steadily toward the front. Very great spirit, too. I mean, just loves what he gets to do.
And a smart race by that young man.
Yes, sir. He's a college student, taking classes. He told me in the garage yesterday, I had to miss a Zoom for one of my classes, so he'll have some homework when he's done tonight or sometime over the weekend. You go back there in fifth, Tyler Ankrum.
He's been one of the strongest trucks all night long. Led the race, had a very loose truck, was able to hang on to it, and he finds himself in a position to win here at Daytona.
Yeah, second stage winner, Tyler Ankrum.
And what about Corey LaJoie? Corey LaJoie is still my favorite. I said before the race he's going to win it. He's certainly in a position to do so.
I just wonder what's wrong with Corey's truck on these restarts. He's been on the front of one line or there, the outside line, I think, and he just loses ground so much through 1 and 2.
What about that new team at 7? Spencer Boyd up inside the top 10 with his new ride.
He's a super speedway winner at Talladega.
Look at all the trucks taking the bottom. Corey LaJoie says, I'll take advantage of that. He's going to restart on the outside of the front row. Outside second row.
24 trucks on the lead lap. We'll have 9 laps remaining when we go green.
Update on Stephen Parsons. We saw him in that wreck. They got that truck repaired. He's still on the lead lap in the 20th position. Cody Robaugh just ahead of him in the 97. He's at 19th, and we saw Bailey Curry into the inside wall. He's got his truck fixed up. He's at 18th. So they're damaged, but they're not done.
Stefan was doing a great job running up in the top 5.
Look at that truck just snap out from underneath Brett Home.
There's Bailey Curry. You mentioned him getting into the inside wall.
Watch how hard he hits.
Hits it pretty hard, but they've made repairs. There's Ben Rhodes getting hit by Tyler Ankrum, and then he comes back on the racetrack, cuts another tire down, and causes this little melee, which he apologized profusely for. And there's the one I was talking about, Stefan, running in the top 5. Christian Eckes gets turned into him.
That was a big one.
Johnny Sauter also involved, one of the strongest trucks we've had all night.
Some heads-up driving there from a couple of truckers that...
The Dean Thompson, Todd Breitinger.
Look at Doza. He's able to squeeze through there, calmly gets on the brakes and makes it through that wreck.
I mentioned 24 trucks on the lead lap. The last of those, Christian Eckes, who just picked up the free pass under this, our 10th caution of the evening.
All right, here we go. 9 laps to go on the restart. We'll see if they can make it back without a caution. I highly doubt it, but we'll see. Green flag back in the air. Raja Caruth, Nick Sanchez on the front row. Sanchez did not get a lot of help from behind on the inside lane. Caruth is actually clear if he chooses to move down. LaJoie with him, and they both move down to the inside and will control the race into turn 1. They're both getting way out ahead of the rest of the pack and maybe a little bit too far because Nick Sanchez should be able to build a run on the back straightaway. He's got the 17 truck of Taylor Gray pushing him. 76 of Spencer Boyd gets shuffled out of line. Massive run by Sanchez. No chance to block. And Sanchez will slingshot his way back to the lead into turn 3. Leapfrogs the 7 and the 71. 17 is clear. The 91 is clear. And everybody's training by now on the outside, passing Caruth and LaJoie as they got way too far out ahead. 3 trucks clear on the bottom, side by side from 4th on back all the way through the rest of the field. 28 trucks remain in the race. 24 on the lead lap. 8 to go at Daytona. Nick Sanchez, Taylor Gray, nose to tail into turn 1. Who will be one to jump out of line off the bottom if the outside isn't led quickly enough by Tyler Ankrum, who is currently the first truck in that second groove. Raja Caruth is all clear. The top 5 trucks are clear of anybody on the outside. Caruth is looking to go high, and he's got the 7 coming with him. Teammates working together. LaJoie pushing Caruth into turn 3. Caruth alongside Gray for second, and he's still got to run. Sanchez a little bit too far out ahead, and now he goes up the block. Late block off turn 4. Sanchez is clear. Everybody holds on. 7 to go. Into the tri-oval. 3 trucks pushing each other at once. Got to be careful there. Sanchez getting pushed by the 71 and the 7 simultaneously. And the outside, Sanchez gets loose, and he saves it going into turn 1. Almost turned down on top of the 17 of Taylor Gray. They never touched each other. And that is the side effect of 3 trucks trying to push each other at the same time. They're going to do it again on the back straightaway. This is not smart. Big wreck in the middle of the pack. Tyler Ankrum goes for a slide through the grass. The 77 and the 19 also collected. There was another truck ahead of him that was down into the sand. Headed towards turn 3, and we're under caution for the 11th time, which is going to tie a Truck Series Daytona race record for the most cautions. Big fire under the 77 of Chase Purdy's hood. I believe Sanchez was the leader at the time of the yellow. We'll have to wait for timing and scoring based off of the last scoring loop they were in. This caution will fly with 6 laps to go and will likely put us into a green-white checker situation. And we'll have to wait to see if this will actually be overtime or not, depending on how quickly they can get it cleaned up. There isn't a lot of damage out there. There are really only about 4 trucks that spun down towards the grass into turn 3. I don't think anybody else came back across the track and more were collected, so this should be a fairly quick cleanup. But I would imagine we're going to have anywhere between 2 to 3 laps to go, and that's going to be it. 11th caution of the race. Outdoor Matt, thanks for tuning in. Disco Golf Fitness, thanks for tuning in also. If you're wondering what channel you can watch Fox Sports 2 on, I know I have Hulu, so I couldn't tell you the channel name on every cable. If you have cable and you're looking to watch the race while you listen to my commentary for the ARCA race, FS2 is channel 618 on DirecTV. I used to have DirecTV before I had Hulu like 2 or 3 years ago, and I think it was channel 618. So if you have DirecTV, that's where you can watch the ARCA race coming up after the finish of this truck race later tonight. And I, again, will be doing live commentary for that race as it was moved up from the original start time of 1:30 tomorrow afternoon due to a high potential threat of rain. So again, the ARCA race will be coming up on a separate stream following the finish of this one. That other truck that went down into the grass, I still can't tell exactly who that was. Didn't look like they really dug in with the splitter much, so just a 4-truck incident, bringing out the caution. Still have not yet seen the big one, and hopefully we don't see the big one. As close to it, I mean, you could maybe consider the big one was the first caution that we had. There were 12 trucks involved, but they're not very lenient when they involve trucks in the incident. I mean, there's trucks that like make minimal contact with anybody and they have them involved in the incident. There were only 5 trucks that actually DNF'd from that. And I don't think any of the other ones that continued the race from that point were knocked off the lead lap, unless they were involved in a later incident. So I wouldn't necessarily consider that the big one for that reason. I feel like the big one, you have to take out like 8+ cars or trucks to consider it a big one. And there are only 5 taken out. Still 23 trucks on the lead lap, by the way. I think Dean Thompson may be getting the free pass here to get back in the lead lap, which would give us 24 trucks on the lead lap. Assuming Tyler Ankrum can continue. He's still scored in the lead lap right now. He was just involved in this incident. Same goes for Christian Eckes. He was also involved. They're only going to have to go a couple laps. So, I mean, even to meet minimum speed should be relatively easy. It's just a matter of can they fix the damage under the minimal amount of time they have under the damaged vehicle policy clock, which is only 6 minutes.
This is the point in the race where if you tell your crew chief, you think you need a pit, he's going to tell you we're closed. We've left. Tom Pickman's left. We've loaded up.
With Sanchez out front, will step aside. Could it be career victory number 1 for the driver out of Miami?
Well, somebody in the Jimmy Butler in the chat mentioned if the trucks run a 500-mile race, it takes 8 hours, and there's only 3 trucks left at the end of it. That may very well be true. I would like to think that they would be able to run single file, but I don't know that that's the case. Our longest green flag run of this race, get this, 11 laps. That's the longest green flag run. We've also had 11 cautions, which again is tied for the most ever in the 25 years that the Truck Series has been running at Daytona. But this is par for the course for the Truck Series. This is what the Truck Series has become over the last 3 or 4 years or so. And the fact that we've had this many cautions and still well over half the field still in the lead lap is also telling that, again, it's been a lot of single truck, 2-truck incidences for the most part. And because they're lazy enough spins with not a lot of contact, even those trucks are still continuing with very minimal damage. So, they throw them back out there, and then those same trucks end up bringing out another incident because they don't pull the fenders out enough on a tire, and a tire gets cut, or they just happen to spin again because their truck is so ill handling, or they don't have the experience to handle their truck on these high banks at these high speeds. And definitely all factors in. Sauter has still led the most laps so far, though Sanchez is quickly approaching the most laps led. He's only 3 laps led behind Johnny Sauter. We're at 5 laps to go right now. We are going to go into overtime because it's saying we have 5 to go, but we're at lap 96, which would take us to lap 101. So we are in overtime. We're only going to have 2 laps to go when we get this next restart in. Now, whether that be the last restart or not, we have yet to see. And the overtime rules are the same as they have been in the last several years, which is if the race leader gets to the white flag, gets to the start-finish line, I should say, for the white flag before another caution comes out, then the next flag ends the race, whether that would be the yellow on the white flag lap or the checker. That would be the dictated finish of the race. If the caution comes out before the race leader gets to the start-finish line for 1 lap to go, then we will rack them and stack them again, and we will do that unlimited times until we get to at least the white flag lap, which the last Truck Series points race was at Phoenix last year. We had 4 overtimes, which I think was the most we had ever seen. Hopefully it does not tune into that again. The insane thing with that is that we see like late cautions, you know, and when they pile caution after caution after caution, very rarely they're at the front of the field. So, you know, you get the argument of people saying like, oh, well, they were going for the win. Very rarely it's actually somebody going for the win. I feel like if we do see another wreck tonight, I guarantee you it's going to take place in the back half of the top 10 or further back. Like, you can't win the race from 7th, 8th place. So what are you doing trying to, you know, pass guys 3 wide, making contact that causes a wreck that sets up another restart and ultimately changes the outcome of the race for the guys that do have a chance to win? Like, that's what typically ends up happening in these situations. Hopefully we don't see any of that. We can get there under green. I just don't have very high hopes. If you've watched any, you know, if you've watched at least 10 to 15 minutes plus of this race, you would understand where I'm coming from. And hopefully we can break the trends of the way this thing has been caution filled and actually, again, finish under green flag.
Roger, Waltrip and the team on Fox. Do you copy? Man, thought I was on a roll. Maybe he's on channel 2. I'm going to check that. Roger, it's Waltrip and the Fox team. Do you copy?
Zavi Dero Racer, thanks for tuning in.
Roger's done a heck of a job. I just
Khadij
wanted to
Baldwin
ask him what
also
it felt like
welcome
to be in
to the
this
stream.
position to go chase this victory right there on the heels of Sanchez. Does he pick high? Does he pick low? Amanda, what's Roger saying?
I can tell you he was talking with his crew chief about that last restart. You'll remember him and Corey LaJoie kind of pulled off from the pack. He was walking him through what to do on this one. He immediately asked on the radio how his new teammate Chase Purdy was doing. But when I saw him earlier in the garage today, he was in a long conversation with Grant Ingfinger. I walked over and I said, hey, what's going on here, guys? And Raja said, we're forever teammates.
Here we go. 1 to go. This could decide it all. Raja's going to jump to the outside, go side by side with Sanchez. He's going to look in his mirror, see who's coming to push. I'm hoping it's Corey LaJoie if I'm Raja.
Looks like that's what it's going to be.
He had a heck of a push on the last restart. He's got a... Overtime rules. Going to get an extra lap tonight of action, at least one. 2-lap shootout. If the leader comes back around and takes the white flag, the next flag ends the race, whether it's the caution or the checkers. But if the caution comes out prior to that white flag, we'll reset and do it again. Here's Sanchez radio.
I really want to win, but at the end, I just want to bring it home with a good finish if we can win. Yeah, I mean, aggressively safe is what I like to say. You know, it's not aggressively stupid.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in that truck looking out the front windshield leading this race. I'm going to do whatever it takes.
I'm good with not being stupid, but this is Daytona.
Aggressively safe. That's a phrase I've never heard. Well, it's one that's not going to work either. we're just going to go for it. You never know when you'll get an opportunity to win Daytona again.
That's right. Look at some of the names up front. Sanchez, Caruth, Taylor Gray, Wood, and there's Corey LaJoie. Still in it, still fighting for the victory. And Matt Crafton, he's never missed the playoffs in his career. Win tonight, he's going back again.
Let's do this, boys.
Here we go, 2 laps. We'll see if we can get to the finish. 1 lap of overtime at least based off of this first overtime restart. Raja Caruth on the outside, Nick Sanchez, the control truck on the bottom. The green flag is back in the air. Got to be careful not to push too far out ahead of the pack like Corey LaJoie and Raja Caruth did on the last restart. They're pushing each other once again, this time on the outside. Caruth not quite clear of Sanchez on the bottom. Field staying 2 by 2 for right now as they continue to work their way up to speed off turn 2. Sanchez is going to need a little bit more help. The Spire trucks are clear. Caruth to the lead on the back straightaway, and LaJoie continues to push. But here comes Sanchez, reminiscent of the last restart, with a charge from the 17 once again of Taylor Gray. Side by side for the lead, but this time it's Caruth on the inside and Sanchez on the outside. And Caruth has lost his drafting partner for the moment of the 7 of LaJoie, and now once again clear into the tri-ovals, the 2 and the 17. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank. Final lap of the race. Nick Sanchez led the white flag lap. Can he lead the checkered flag lap? Near crashes behind them, a couple trucks getting loose, not making contact with each other, was Heim and Caruth. They stay in it. About a car length gap in between, and we're wrecking again on the back straightaway. Here's the big one. The 17 is up and over, surfing on top of a couple other race trucks. And back down on all 4 as nearly the entire field is taken out on the back straightaway on the final lap of the race. And Nick Sanchez will get his first career NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series win. A wild crash. I couldn't tell who that was. It looked like it might have been Taylor Gray and the 17. That went upside down, and the roof of his race truck was basically on top of the roof of a few other race trucks before his momentum had carried him back onto all 4. Looks like Raja Caruth is going to end up in second. Corey LaJoie caught up in it. I mean, it'd be easier to tell you the drivers who weren't caught up in it, but the race, again, will end under yellow, and Nick Sanchez will be your race winner. His first career NASCAR truck win. Daniel Dye with a heavy impact to the inside retaining wall. Huge damage on the 19 of Christian Eckes. Waiting to see a replay of what happened there. Somebody mentioned in the chat earlier about hoping that everybody stays on all 4 tonight. Well, they were until the last lap. Nick Sanchez is your winner. And hopefully everybody is okay in that scary crash on the back straightaway. Waiting to see a replay until we know that everybody is okay. Well, here comes the replay. Never mind. Everybody most likely is probably okay then. And I believe it was Taylor Gray who ended up upside down after running in second place. Caruth got knocked off the bottom of the racetrack. He got hit from behind by Corey LaJoie, which turned... I have to see who all was in the midst of that again. This flip was very reminiscent of Matt Crafton's flip on the back straightaway in 2017 at Daytona, where he goes end over end and basically lands on all 4. And Gray got hit very hard in the driver's side door by Daniel Dye, which then caused his truck to go airborne. Once you get a vehicle behind another that's running sideways, especially in these high-speed super speedway racetracks, that's where we've seen these flips in recent years. That's exactly what happened there, where Gray was on all four up until he had a truck or two pushing the side of his race truck, causing the air to get underneath it. And basically pirouette and backflip over ensuing traffic coming in from behind. You'll get to hear from your race winner, Nick Sanchez, and any other post-race interviews we get over the next several minutes. And we'll go through, of course, the unofficial results to this race once we get into the first commercial break in the post-race. Here is your race winner, Nick Sanchez.
Last year, got turned around on the last lap.
To Regan Smith.
Well, Nick Sanchez grabs the checkered flag. Nick, you have been so close so many times in the Truck Series last year. You come to Daytona, you get your first career win. How does it feel?
Pretty surreal, especially with how the race started. I'm covered in dirt from it. But just a big thanks to my team, sticking with me all last year. We were winless. It hurt. We should have won. But we redeemed ourselves in the first race possible. So big thanks to Rev Racing, Spire, Max Siegel, Gainbridge, Dan Towers, everyone that helps us, and definitely going to be a good year.
Nick Sanchez, your Craftsman Truck Series winner in Daytona.
You know what? The news just keeps getting better and better. Winner at Daytona. When he gets to victory lane, he's going to be like, playoffs as well. That's a bonus. But when you win at Daytona, it's all about the trophy that you receive here. Amanda?
Well, Corey, they say that Daytona is a lot of being at the right place when it matters. You had a relatively quiet night, made it up to the front. How did you make that happen?
I guess just not wrecking for the most part. First of all, I hope everyone's okay. That was crazy to see in my mirror. Looked bad. But second of all, what a SHIT show. I mean, that was crazy. I've never avoided so many wrecks in my life. I can't believe I have a clean truck. But I'm not going to complain about it. It's truck racing. It happens. But super proud of Truck on Garage and Toyota Racing. Got a little bit of work to do for Talladega with the speed of this thing. But I thought the best strategy for me was to lay low and hopefully be there at the end. And we were. And looks like we came up one short.
That is scary looking.
Just amazing.
But like you said, that's about as soft as you can turn one over. That's exactly right. And it didn't just keep tumbling either, like we've seen happen so many times. I don't know if Roger just lost the front end of his number 71 Chevy or what went down there, but he definitely went up the track and made contact.
LaJoy got into the back of Caruth, which is what sent the 71 up the track and started the incident off turn 2.
Phil, did you see Stefan sliding through there?
He did get through there, yes.
Watch this, just out of nowhere. Smoke. Truck. Now, watch it hit the roof. Man. That's on the list of things you don't want to see out your windshield. There goes those.
There's the hot dog going by.
Ballpark Frank squeezing through. Amanda?
Raja, there was many ways that I was going to go in this conversation with you, but I saw you hand the phone back that you were just on, and the name said Rick Hendrick. What did that conversation go?
Yeah, it's all because of him, being in this spot. So I'm really thankful for Mr. H and the Hendrick Automotive Group, along with Spire Motorsports and Chevy, because the only reason I got to ride this year. I feel pretty bad about the backstretch there. Corey was doing a great job pushing, and you hate to see trucks get torn up like that, but sucks to be that close, but definitely happy for Nick. He's been deserving for a long time and great for the company.
Thank you, Raja.
Former teammates in the ARCA Menard series at Rev Racing.
Well, we can take a deep breath now. All the action is over, and Nick Sanchez gets to go and celebrate the best victory of the whole season. And that's victory at Daytona.
Led all those laps a year ago. Did Sanchez finally pulls into victory lane.
Bubba Wallace having a conversation with Rajan.
We'll go through the unofficial results to this race. Obviously, the finishing order could change with the huge wreck on the back straightaway between now and probably tomorrow. But what is a fact is the top three, at least, are guaranteed. Nick Sanchez ends up getting the win. Raja Karut second, and Corey Heim ends up in third. Spencer Boyd with a fourth place finish as of right now. Brett Holmes fifth. Great comeback for him. Was leading earlier, led quite a few laps, spun from the lead, and still ends up in the top five. Stephen Parsons finishes sixth. Kind of same goes for him. He was caught up in that Holmes incident earlier and ends up sixth place. And he was in the middle of that big one, so that's definitely one of the drivers that could end up changing in the finishing order. I'm not even sure how many actually made it back to the start-finish line after the race was over, to be completely honest. But obviously when the caution comes out, it freezes the field. Again, the unofficial results from pretty much fourth on back. Parsons, again, ends up sixth. Timmy Hill, shout out to him, finishing seventh, top 10 for Hill. Matt Crafton, 8th. Brian Dozit, 9th. And Christian Eckes rounds out the top 10. 11th place finish for Tyler Ankrum. Bailey Curry, 12th. Jason White, 13th. Stuart Friesen, 14th. Ty Majeski, 15th. Tanner Gray, 16th. Grant Enfinger in 17th. Jack Wood, 18th. Taylor Gray, 19th. And Corey LaJoy, 20th. Daniel Dye, 21st. Corey Roper, 22nd. Cody Rohrball in 23rd. Dean Thompson was the last truck unofficially on the lead lap. He'll finish 24th. 25th place finish for Mason Massey. Matt Mills, 26th. Tony Breidinger, 27th. Chase Purdy, 28th. Johnny Sauter, 29th. Ben Rhodes in 30th. Keith McGee, 31st. Lawless Allen, 32nd. Lane Riggs, 33rd. 34th for Jake Garcia. Ty Dillon, 35th. And 36th for Thad Moffitt in this race. Most laps led was your race winner, Nick Sanchez. He led 26 laps today, led 3 different times for those 26 laps, and still ended up getting the win. Led coming to the white flag and ends up leading coming to the checker, with the caution coming out after the big one transpired behind him on the back straightaway in the final lap of the race. We did go 1 lap past the scheduled distance of this one, so 101 laps in our overtime finish. Let's count how many different leaders we had and how many different lead changes. As far as different drivers to lead at least 1 lap in the race, we had 12 different drivers. 12 different drivers led at least 1 lap. And 24 lead changes amongst those 12 drivers. In total, with that caution coming out on the back straightaway, ending the race under yellow, we set a NASCAR Daytona Truck Series record for the most cautions in a single Daytona truck race with 12. We had 11, which forced the overtime. And again, with the race ending under yellow on the final lap of overtime, we had set a new race record for the most cautions in a single truck race at Daytona. 25 years. 2 hours and 33 minutes, 7 seconds to finish this race. That's not counting the 7-minute rain delay we had. So just over 2 hours and 40 minutes total time in this truck race. That's a long truck. I mean, that's like, there's some cup races that are shorter than that. This was a long race. Needless to say, it is over now. Average race speed, 104.2 miles per hour. And needless to say, too, it's still relatively a early, finish, considering it's only 10:35 Eastern time. The bad news is because the ARCA race, well, bad/good news, we do get the ARCA race in before Saturday. Unfortunately, it is tonight for anybody staying up. Hopefully, a lot of you guys don't have, work or whatever the next day, but appreciate you guys tuning in through this race. I still plan on doing live commentary for the ARCA race coming up here in probably another 20 minutes or so. Live commentary for that. Obviously, it's a little bit later start with how long this truck race ended up going. We were expecting it to be a late night already, but we're going to get into this. So more than likely, no stream tomorrow if the Xfinity race gets rained out for tomorrow. Obviously, with the ARCA race running tonight, we're not going to be streaming that tomorrow as originally planned. So stay tuned for updates on the community tab regarding the Xfinity and Cup Series races at Daytona this weekend yet. But as far as the Truck Series, in the books, duels in the books, 500 qualifying in the books, 3 streams down, 3 to go. We've got an ARCA race coming up later tonight. The ARCA Menards 200 at Daytona will be coming up here shortly. And it looks like the finishing order has already changed a little bit. Brent Holmes is now scored in 4th. Stephen Parsons has fallen back to 6th. So they have changed. I just saw the order change just a little bit. So that will continue to change, I'm sure, throughout the night. Brett Holmes now credited with a 4th place finish, it looks like. And Parsons falls out of the top 5 to 6th. Still 24 trucks on the lead lap at the finish as of right now. That is going to end this stream. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more daily. I'm used to last year saying daily NASCAR content. I got to stop saying that so I'm not misleading you guys. We will get back to daily content at some point this season, but not at this point in time. But we will be streaming again 3 more times yet this weekend as we have 3 more races to go. ARCA, Xfinity, Cup. ARCA race coming up next. Be sure to hit that like button on this stream. 111 likes. We hit our goal of 100. Appreciate that, everybody. This is the most viewed stream as well so far this Speed Weeks. Most viewed stream, beating the duels from last night. 500 qualified from Wednesday. ARCA probably won't top this considering it's going to be a really late night, but hopefully we continue to top it through the Xfinity and Cup races this weekend as well. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you in a little bit for the ARCA Menards 200.